step. That was Catherine's 4-year-old last night. Her 4-year-old. Mum tells you to do something, her 4-year-old turned to her and went, "No way, Jose!" Oh, and you're not allowed to hit them anymore. No, I know, it's terrible. After my little boy telling me at the weekend that he didn't love me and he wasn't my friend anymore, last night he said, "Daddy, I like you a lot." All right, I'm back. Dad's back. Morning to listener Iain Lee, BBC Three Counties Radio. Lots coming up. There are fears a new casino in Luton Town Centre could lead to an increase in gambling addiction. We'll speak to a reformed gambler to see what he thinks. An HIV charity in Hertfordshire faces closure within 2 months. The people who use it say they're devastated. We'll hear from them in the next half an hour. And the Public Health Minister says office workers should take a proper lunch break rather than engaging in the disgusting habit of eating a sandwich at their desk. I do it, but I agree with this. Want to get in touch? Facebook.com/BBC 3CR. You can send me an email, 3cr@bbc.co.uk. But look, all of the phone lines are empty. Why would you not pick up the phone and dial 08459 455 555?
BBC Three Counties Radio.
A decision is due over proposals for a casino in Luton, one of only 8 in England. There are more than 8 casinos in England, aren't there? 2 bidders have applied to expand existing casinos, while 2 developers want to build new premises at Church Street and Kimpton Road. A local church is objecting to the plans for one of the sites. They've been involved in counselling some people with a gambling addiction. They don't feel a casino should be in the middle of a university town. We'll speak to them after 7 o'clock. The bids for the sites are due to be considered by Luton Borough Council's licensing committee later today. Well, Stephen Gardner is a reformed gambler from Milton Keynes and is trying to set up a support group for gamblers. Morning, Stephen.
Morning.
Tell me your story about how you got involved with gambling and how it took over your life.
Briefly, I just, I actually entered a betting shop at 21 and for the next 23 years I just simply gambled, cheated, stole and connived my way into spending everything I earned.
Was it an immediate addiction? Did you go?
Yeah.
You carried on? You know, as soon as that first bet was placed, you thought, "Oh, hang on a second, I've found the drug for me."
Yeah, basically, it's as simple as that. It's an escapism, and that was my escapism. I think we all have, or most of us do have, something in there that we're either obsessed about, and in most cases, it's a healthy one. It may be sport, but with me, it was gambling. I switched the light on, and I just want to do it over and over again. So.
And you did it for 23 years.
Yeah, and I finished homeless as a result of that.
Wow.
But, you know, my life's back together again now because I've stopped. But, and I've got help to do that. But casinos will, undoubtedly, they'll increase the amount of addictive gamblers that there are at the moment.
Stephen, have you sat down and added up all the money that you spent gambling?
I did a little experiment when I was in a rehab centre.
Yeah.
And we worked out I'd wasted, in 6 figures. And I'm just a warehouse worker. I was just a warehouse worker. So, 6 figures. We're talking about sort of around £300,000.
Blimey.
Well, it's more or less 90% of my earnings will be figured I'd probably wasted in the gambling. Remember, that's an estimated figure.
Yeah.
It's not.
You could have bought a house for that.
I could be sitting here without a mortgage. Yeah.
How does that make you feel?
Sorry?
How does that make you feel, knowing that?
To be honest with you, it doesn't bother me now, put it beyond me.
Yeah.
Which is a problem that gamblers are unable to do when they're in the act of it. They're always chasing their tail. So how did you get clean and sort yourself out? I went into a rehab centre. I found myself homeless as well. There's an end point, everybody. There's a point when you've had enough.
Yeah.
And if you're lucky enough and somebody picks up on it, you're in a... And for me, it was being homeless. You decide that's as far as you can go, and so therefore you decide to turn your life around. Or you make. Do you know what? I don't even know if I made a conscious decision to turn my life around at the point. I think I was looking at how experts around me who were able to manipulate me thinking into waking up, if you want to call it that, and realising my situation. And that, of course, there was an opportunity, rather, because at the point, after 20 years of repeating the same process over and over again, there's a certain insanity there. So you're unable to think sort of rationally about your own situation, and of course a sense of denial that means that you can't face up to it because you've done it so often. You can't look at yourself from the inside out.
So what sort of rehab was it? Was it a 12-step centre, or what? How did they kind of realign your thinking?
It was based on a 12-step between it was I can only describe as being bashed about mentally for a couple of weeks and then put back together.
Yeah.
But for me it worked. Now not for everybody, but for me it worked.
Yeah.
And
have you been since that rehab? Because I know I've got friends who are alcoholics and whatever, and the rehab hasn't always worked. Since going to rehab and coming out the other side, have you managed to stay away from gambling completely?
Yes. Yeah.
I imagine that gives you a real sense of freedom, knowing that you have a decision. You have a choice you can make.
Of course, that's what you get. You get a choice.
You get a choice.
You don't perceive you have one when you're still in it. You're stuck in your own personal misery, and you don't really have the motivation or the inclination to pull yourself out of it.
Are you worried, Stephen, that if this casino gets the go-ahead, it's going to cause more people to become addicts?
Well, it will do, because look, most people are going to be able to go to a casino and have a great time.
Yeah.
And they might do it once a month, once a week, maybe in some cases. They might be able to do it, I don't know, once a year as an annual treat. But it's always going to find out, and that's the nature of gambling, it's going to find out the person who wants to repeat the action as soon as they possibly can, repeat the process of the excitement of gambling, and they will become the frequent visitors, and that is the bread and butter. In the same way that for a gambling, for a casino, in the same way that a lot of pubs, they do rely on their fair share of alcoholics. And that's what keeps the business ticking over. But
it wasn't a casino that got you, was it, Stephen? It was you going into bookies, and there are gambling machines everywhere now. Everywhere you go in, and there's lottery machines, and there's all you can do roulette machines and everything. So, by denying the 99% of people who will use this casino responsibly, is that really fair?
I'm not really. I'm not really sure whether I'm against casinos per se as such. Or generally, the casino, as you say, for most people may well be able to enjoy it. I'm only interested in the 1%, as you put it.
Yeah,
that's my interest. Because unfortunately, whether you can put a label on it and call it weak-willed, and there you go. But I mean, it's the same principle with. As I see, with any other addiction, and it's an addiction. This is the point we've got to. Most people can drink sensibly and modestly, and leave without, the damage that drinking alcoholically.
Stephen, we have to end it there. I could talk to you all morning. Absolutely fascinating. Stephen Gardner there, reformed gambler. Well done. Keep up the good work. 08459 455 555 is the telephone number. Would a casino in Luton, would that encourage gambling addicts, do you think? Morning, Iain Lee, BBC Three Counties Radio.
Why do you have to be a heartbreaker?
Do you eat your lunch at your desk? I do it here at work sometimes, and it is disgusting. A government minister has come out and said it's disgusting, and I agree. I'll tell you why it's disgusting in a bit. It is horrible. Oh, dear. Now, a text on gambling, 81333, starting your text 3CR. Nick says, where I work, there's a one-armed bandit. Oh, you don't hear him called that anymore. The one-armed bandit. And people there have been known to put 20 quid a time in it on £20 a time in it, on a daily basis. I have better things to do with my hard-earned cash. Yeah, 20 quid. I'm surprised. I bet it's more than that. Those things, they're like a fine heroin. They're very Moorish, aren't they? Not heroin cake, I mean. Very Moorish. You just think, well, maybe next time. I might just be able to do it. If I have one more go, it might work out a little bit better. 08459 455 555. Should we have a quick look at the front page of the newspaper? Yes, it'll be rude not to. The Times has a picture of a man with a bionic hand. Wow! Apparently he can crush, beer cans and stuff with it. Chris Taylor, who lost his right hand in a jet ski accident with his £47,000 bionic replacement. The first with a thumb that can be moved electronically. Always good to be able to move the thumb electronically. Know what I'm saying? Yeah, exactly. And business backs PM's call for mandate on Europe. Merkel ready for talks on Brussels reform. Business leaders give David Cameron a resounding vote of confidence today after the Prime Minister staked Britain's EU membership on his ability to recast Europe. The Guardian, more about Cameron and Europe. This is good. Look, apocalyptic threat. Not good, actually. Sorry, let me rephrase that. This is terrible. Apocalyptic threat posed by antibiotic resistance. Britain's most senior medical advisor has warned MPs that the rise in drug-resistant diseases could trigger a national emergency comparable to a catastrophic terrorist attack, pandemic flu, or major coastal flooding. All because I take antibiotics. That's mental. I'm like a medicine terrorist. And then there's a picture as well of that ball boy lad that got... I'm not a big fan of football, but even I heard about this. A Chelsea player kicked a ball boy in the ball boys, and he's all kind of rude and stuff. And I saw this on Twitter unfolding. I thought, I feel really sorry. I feel really sorry for that ball boy lad. That is bang out of order. But then I read in another paper that actually the ball boy had been tweeting before the game, "Hey, I'm going to go and waste some time tonight. Going to be a time waster. Going to be a time waster on the pitch." So... do you know what I mean? If that had happened at school, if it had done that at school, he would have got a kicking. I'm not in any way justifying a millionaire kicking a boy. Except in some parts of the world where people go and pay to do that kind of... I'm not in any way justifying it, but... I do think... I'll find the bit later on where he was banging on about, I'm going to go and do some hashtag time wasting. Hashtag idiot. The Daily Telegraph. Merkel hints at deal for Cameron. Scientists expose the myth of the multitasker. We all know people who like to think they are good at multitasking, but the truth may be that they simply find it difficult to do one thing at a time. Yeah, in your face, girls. Oh, yeah, but girls can multitask. Yeah, you can't do one thing properly, according to the Daily Telegraph and Science. Researchers say that multitaskers end up juggling activities, not because they're good at it, but because they are easily distracted and cannot concentrate on the job at hand. And it's always girls. Yeah, well, we can multitask, you boys can't. Yeah, because us boys like to do one job and we like to do it properly, whereas you girls, gotta do loads of things and I'm not gonna do any of them well. Oh, look, I can do the washing and clean the baby and drive a car. Yeah, none of them well. Independent, handbagged. That's all about David Cameron. Daily Express, there's a lady in a dress at the British Television Awards last night. That went on for 2.5 hours. Imagine that. The most vacuous of industries giving each other vacuous awards that mean literally nothing. The Daily Express. Killer freeze to get worse. 6 inches of snow and minus 20 degrees on the way. The Daily Mail. Television awards. And the Prime Minister. And the Sun. I've really given up on the Sun. It's just, it's decided, it's made the decision that it's not going to be a newspaper anymore. So over half of the front page is a boy who doesn't look anything like Harry Styles from One Direction, but they've blown his hair so he does look a bit like him. And then the headline, Horsegate exclusive, Sugar King. Burger King chain dumps millions of burgers in dodgy meat alert. Really? Very quickly, we'll get on to the next story in a minute. This is the paper that has the story about that ball boy. His name is Charlie. It's called Charlie Morgan, 17. Charlie had tweeted his time-wasting intentions before the 77th minute incident, saying, "The king of all ball boys is back, making his final appearance. Hashtag needed, hashtag for, hashtag time-wasting, hashtag idiot, hashtag you probably deserved a little bit of a boot." Now, a charity which supports people living with HIV in Hertfordshire faces closure within 2 months after having its funding cut. The Crescent in St Albans was receiving £200,000 a year from Hertfordshire City Council and Hertfordshire NHS Trust, but people are now being asked to travel to Watford and use the services of another support service, HeartsAid. For the last 2 years, the Crescent has been surviving on volunteers using their own money, with one donating £10,000 life savings. Our reporter, Sophie Solari, has been speaking to people who use their services.
I was actually referred to the Crescent from a nearby hospital, the hospital that I go to. They also had alternative therapies where they used to give us some acupuncture and massaging and things like that.
I also came to the Crescent for massage. I haven't been able to have those therapies, and my body seems to be tightening up and aching and more susceptible to cramps, etc., which the massage solved. It's week to week. I was fine, but I haven't had a massage for 6 to 8 weeks now, and my body's like seizing up, I feel. Plus the the aspect of meeting other people that are in the same position as you.
But could you not do that at Heartsaid?
I wouldn't even know how to get to Heartsaid, especially where. Apparently they've got a satellite in Watford, but from what I've heard, there's never people there.
Have you not given the new service a go?
To be honest, no, I haven't, because I haven't been able to get hold of anyone.
Why is it not an alternative for you?
If people go on the bus, it takes 2 or 3 hours. So by the time you get over there, you're tired because of the travelling, and you have your 5 minutes, and then you've got to wait for a bus to come all the way back.
I don't get to see my friends anymore. I don't have any massages anymore. I don't even get acupuncture anymore.
The reason is why people are so disgruntled about this business is that the Crescent hasn't been there for 2 years. It has been there for over 25 years, helping people. I can tell you that I was diagnosed with the HIV virus in 98, and I was taken to the Crescent by my sister and sat down and told what to do. 2 years later, they got me a home. They found me benefits. They found me a dentist. Would you believe that there was a great difficulty getting a dentist to take on a patient with AIDS?
Well, we contacted Hertfordshire County Council. They declined to take part in the show, but said a decision was taken by the County Council that the best way to provide a more uniform and also a more cost-effective service was to move toward a single county-wide provider for that service. The contract was awarded to Heartsaid in Watford, and they are delivering the service that we have commissioned. We recognise that many people receiving support from the Crescent would prefer to continue to do so, but we cannot afford to fund multiple charities. And later in the programme, we'll be hearing of one woman's story of what it's like to live with HIV. Now, as we've just discovered, it turns out that people who multitask aren't very good at doing one thing on their own. So fingers crossed, Catherine Boyle will be OK giving us the news and sport. Let's see what happens, shall we?
That's your latest news and sport. I'm off to think about some fluffy kittens.
Call 08459 455 555.
08459 455 555.
BBC Three Counties Radio.
What this show needs, I've decided, is a pet. We need a pet for the show. Like a cat, or a bird, or a puppy. Just something that we can have in the studio and we can, can run around the offices and stuff. Just, I think it'll be good for team morale. Coming up in the next... or a monkey, yes. A monkey in a bellboy suit. Always good. A monkey dressed as a bellboy? Yes, we could do that with a tray serving drinks. Coming up in the next half an hour. Do you remember yesterday we told you all about the drug cat? It's a herbal stimulant, and yesterday it was legal. Well, government advisers were considering whether to ban it or not. Our reporter, Tony Fisher, went along to the committee meeting. They've made a decision. He'll tell us what that was next. And eating a sandwich at the office desk over a keyboard is disgusting, according to the Public Health Minister. I do it, and I agree. It's blooming horrible. I'll tell you why in a bit. 08459 455 555 is the telephone number. You can facebook.com/BBC3CR. Or you can email us, 3cr@bbc.co.uk. And those suggesting that Ollie, our work experience boy, is in fact the show's monkey in a bellboy uniform, that is very, very unfair. Very unfair. A little bit offensive, actually. A little bit rude. Morning, this is Iain Lee, BBC Three Counties Radio. Now, you may remember yesterday we were talking about the drug cat. Well, government drug advisers have rejected calls to ban the herbal stimulant. The report by the Advisory Council on the Misuse of Drugs says that there is insufficient evidence that it actually causes health problems. The drug is used mainly by the Somali community in London and Milton Keynes in particular, where the local MP has called for it to be made illegal. Our reporter, Tony Fisher, you've been studying this report. It's quite a big report, isn't it?
It is quite a chunky report, yes, Ian, yes. Well, they don't do things by halves.
No, they've researched it well.
This council, Advisory Council on the Misuse of Drugs.
What is cat, exactly?
Cat is, it comes from Kenya. It's grown in Kenya on trees. It's leaves. And what you do is you can buy it here legally, markets, that sort of thing. Mainly used by the Somali community, Yemenis, Ethiopians. Not really Western society, though, because... It takes a long time to ingest because you've got to chew it. It's obviously got to go into your bloodstream, into your stomach. It takes a long time. It's an hour and a half, 2 hours to actually take effect. It's like a stimulant. Like they liken it to amphetamines, speed, and increases alertness and awareness and self-confidence and that sort of things. So they say students apparently use it. But it's, as I say, it's mainly confined to Somali communities, as in Milton Keynes, those sort of places. And you chew it, very bitter tasting, apparently, not very pleasant.
Am I right? The report says that 14 people have died from cat.
Yes, that's just a paragraph in the whole report. Somewhere it's tucked away. 14 people have died, but they say there's no actual specific link. 14 deaths occurring, which had a potential link with cat consumption, but there's no direct link to cat. So what they're saying is 14 people have died, and they've all taken cat, but we can't say that because they've died, it's definitely because of the cat. But there are campaigners out there who've been campaigning for a long time, because they last looked at this in 2005 when they came up with the same conclusion. And there's campaigners out there. There's Abukar Awali is one of those campaigners, and he isn't very happy.
We are very devastated, very disappointed, heartbroken. We feel that we have been rejected, and our issues and our suffering has been ignored.
But they found no evidence that it caused any harm to the person or to society. There were no links to terrorism. So why not carry on, keep it controlled, keep it legal?
There was serious cases of cat-related deaths, 14 cases. If that's not enough evidence of medical harm, I don't know how many more of our youngsters have to die for this council to realise enough is enough.
Yeah, just on those 14 deaths, Ian, the report says in most of these cases the role of cat was unclear, and they say on balance it's not likely that cat was responsible for death in these cases, although they say as a scoping exercise it may have value. So I think, although he's right in saying there are 14 cat-related deaths, we need to sort of take it in context.
Yes.
He wants the drug banned, like in lots of other countries in Europe, and Holland have just recently banned it 2 weeks ago. But he says mainly it destroys the Somali community, it just destroys the families, because the men go and use it, they go to cat houses and spend all the family's money there, chewing, up all night, all congregate, going out. And the mothers, he said, suffers in silence. Youngsters grow up, turn to crime, and if you take it long enough, you can end up with serious mental problems. And he made the point that because the people who have died are young black people, and confined to that community and not to the white community, he told me we don't have to be white to be protected. And he says a problem isolated to Somali community, so let's not bother. That's what he's saying the attitude is of the Advisory Council on the Misuse of Drugs.
So what does the Advisory Council say?
Well, they say, as I said in that question I put to them, they say there's basically no societal problems, no health problems, there's no links to terrorism, there's no the theory that it funds organised crime. They couldn't find any reason for that. But it is banned in a lot of countries, as I say, and just recently in Holland, but not here. And that's something that I put to the co-chair of the Advisory Council on the Misuse of Drugs, Dr. Hugh Mathieson.
Cat is illegal in quite a number of countries, but it's fair to make the point that in many of the countries where it's illegal, the law is not enforced. And in other countries, such as Australia, where the law with regard to cat varies from state to state, personal use is allowed. They've just had another look at it very, very recently in the last few months, and they haven't banned cat. Personal use is permitted. So it does vary across the world. In those places where it's been banned, such as Holland most recently, it does seem to be a political decision rather than an evidence-based decision.
So, I mean, basically they're justifying not banning it in this country, saying although it's illegal in other countries, they don't actually enforce it. And he did tell me that the amount of being imported is actually going down into this country, and there was a theory that England, UK could become a hub for importation, but he says that's not borne out by the figures, by Home Office figures, VAT figures, and that sort of thing.
Why are so many people in Milton Keynes keen to have this drug banned?
Well, they say it mainly for antisocial behaviour reasons, and the report did look at that it does cause antisocial behaviour with large groups of young men congregating in one place. And they say people in Milton Keynes say there are cat houses, and as large groups of people go round there, take cat, come out all in one go.
Gosh, people coming out of a house.
Yeah,
oh my God, it's terrible.
I think the main reason is that from what Abu Bakr Awali was saying is it causes family breakdown within the Somali community, and I think the white people living on estates like Fishermead see that from the outside, but it is a problem more confined to the Somali community because as Abu Bakr Awali said earlier, it's the women who suffer in silence, it's the men who take these drugs. The long-term users, it can cause mental health problems. They say it's not good, basically, for people on the estate.
So the government drug advisors have said, don't ban it. Is the Home Office going to listen to them, or will it ban it? How does it work now?
Well, we don't know because the chair of the council was asked, what's going to happen. He said he's done 3 reports into cannabis, and the Home Office has only taken notice of one of them.
Really?
Yeah.
Wow.
But I think, judging by this report, judging by the fact that really it doesn't seem to have a serious negative effect on society or on health. And is confined mainly to Somali, sort of Ethiopian communities here in this country, and specifically here in Milton Keynes. It looks like I would have thought that it's going to remain legal.
Tony Fisher, thank you very much indeed. Thanks for coming in. Okay, now it's funny this story came up in the papers today. Yeah! Because I was indulging in a bit of this last week, and I thought, this is horrible. I hope no one's seeing what I'm doing. A minister has said, well, it's in the Daily Telegraph and lots of other papers, the Minister for Public Health, Anna Soubry, has said that office workers should take a proper lunch break, and she describes eating at a sandwich at the office desk over a keyboard as disgusting, and says we should all take the time to cook and enjoy meals. Right, well, that's not actually practically possible, is it? I don't want to go out and pay for a lunch every day, so I make a nice little packed lunch, and I sit and I have it over the computer keyboard. Now, the reason why I think it's so disgusting, I don't know if it's the same reason as her, is that when I was eating my cheese sandwich, grated cheese, you see, grated cheese and mayonnaise. Ooh. The thing with grated cheese, you get more bang for your buck. If you slice the cheese, there's a whole block gone. Grate it a little bit, it looks like a full sandwich. Perfect. The problem with grated cheese, and indeed mayonnaise, is bits fall out. Now, if you're eating over a keyboard, where do those bits go? Correct. In between the G and the H. They do. Or maybe in between the J and the K. They go in there. They fall in there. Now, this happened the other day. Loads of cheese from my sandwich with mayonnaise fell onto the keyboard. Right, I thought, nuts. I hope no one's watching. Luckily, no one was. So I tried to get it out. But by trying to get it out with my fat, stubby chipolata fingers, the cheese actually went into the keyboard. So, in one of the desks upstairs, one of the keyboards is full of cheese and mayonnaise. Now, that's just me doing it. If everybody else is doing it, imagine what horrible, horrible things are in that keyboard. Dealey, are you a fan of eating sandwiches at the computer?
You are absolutely foul. You are disgusting. It's horrible.
It is. Come on, you do it someday. I've seen you with snacks up there.
Yes, I do it, actually. I do it, and the reason being is because I'm so busy. Yes, I can understand these views.
Sorry?
Yes, I'm busy.
I've noticed.
Well, you won't probably understand that, but, the Minister of Public Health, I mean, she's got a point saying we all need a lunch break, but the reality is, Ian, you're busy, I'm busy, everyone in our office is busy, everyone across the UK right now is very busy, so it's the only option, really, to go out and get a sandwich, either buy it or make it yourself and eat it at your desk and cause a horrible mess a bit like you.
Well, the thing is, what I'm going to do later on is I'm going to go upstairs, I'm going to tip that keyboard upside down and give it a good old whack.
Please.
In fact, Ollie, we'll set later on in the show, Ollie, Ollie's our work experience, we're going to send Ollie up to that desk, and he's going to tap that keyboard upside down live on air, Justin, and we're going to find out exactly what is in there. He looks disgusted by it.
I don't know whether you realise this, but since you joined the BBC, suddenly we've had a truckload of hygiene wipes that have arrived.
Yes, they
maybe
have.
You may have noticed that, but I've been at Luton train station this morning. I've been talking to commuters. Now, they, like many people, they are very busy. They all eat a sandwich at their desk. So are they disgusting? Here's what they had to say. Now, Corin, in terms of your eating habits at your desk, tell us about those.
I have a pot of porridge for my breakfast. I have a bagel that I make at home for lunch and a banana. And then if I have dinner, I maybe go out and grab a sandwich or a ready meal.
So, potentially 3 meals a day by your computer?
Yeah.
OK. Is that disgusting?
No, I don't think so. I make a mess, but I clean it up. We have a cleaner, comes round, cleans the office. So
Is that your only option, though, because you're so busy? That's what you've got to do?
Yes, basically. I mean, I could take a lunch break, but I have a 4-hour commute as it is, so the less time that I take away from work, you know, the earlier I can get out the office.
Well, here's Lindsay. Lindsay, like many people, you've got a very busy life, and you have to eat your sandwich at your desk. Are you disgusting?
I am certainly not disgusting. I don't think so anyway. Other people might disagree.
But the reason you're doing that, is that because you haven't got the time to go out and have a proper lunch?
Yes, it is.
Has it always been like that for you?
Not always, but in these days when people are having to do more, something has to go and it's usually lunch.
So in an ideal world, you'd like to get your proper lunch, but the way it is, you just can't do that.
I definitely would, yes. I'd love to go out every day for lunch, but I just haven't got the time.
And when you see other people sitting at their desk and they're eating a sandwich, you think, oof, that's horrible.
No, I don't. Sometimes if they're doing it before me, I think, I wish that was me.
Present day, you know, you're running and, you know, you can't stop, you can't go out for an hour lunch break every day.
So it's a way of life?
It's a way of life.
Yeah.
Definitely a way of life.
Mind you, if you were to see somebody munching away on a sandwich, and you're looking across, do you not find it a little bit weird, a little bit horrible?
Not really. Some people are disgusting eating, but, you know, that's way of life. People, different manners, you know. There isn't a canteen facilities in offices anymore. There's just small coffee places where you can have coffee and then sit at your desk and have a sandwich.
Do you remember the hour lunch break, Justin?
I do. Oh, the good old days.
The thing is, as well, if you're eating a sandwich or you've got a bit of cake that's left over from a party, you've got something, you've got that in your fingers, and then you're touching the mouse, and then you're touching the key. No wonder Jonathan Vernon Smith is so poorly.
Absolutely. But can you imagine today, all those people going into work saying, I don't know whether you've seen this in the newspapers, but the Minister for Public Health is saying that we should be taking a proper 1-hour lunch break instead of having a sandwich at our desk. The boss is going to look at them and say, right, OK, and that'll be the end of that conversation. In reality, you know, life right now for everyone is very, very busy, so more and more people, as you heard there, are having to eat their sandwich, disgustingly, at their desk.
Also, if you're going out and buying a lunch every day, what's that, £2.50, £3, maybe more?
Yeah.
You're just going to spend over a year, that's going to cost you a fortune.
It's going to cost a lot of money, but of course, if you make it at home, you're still going to be taking it into the office, you're still going to be having that at your desk, so the problem is still there. You're still not taking a proper lunch break.
The rumour going around BBC Three Counties, Justin, well, one of the rumours going around BBC Three Counties about you is that you're a fan of the egg sandwich. Is that correct?
Absolutely. I love my protein. Being a bodybuilder, you see, I need lots of protein.
Why are you presenting this false image to the residents of Beds, Herts and Bucks, for goodness sakes?
Well, you know, I did go through this stage where I was actually eating 6 eggs for breakfast every single day to beef up a bit, you know.
Did you really?
Yeah, I did, honestly, I did.
That's terrible. You'll get egg bound. You won't be able to go to the toilet.
It was a weird period in my life. Let's just leave it at that.
Okay, we'll leave it at that. Justin Dealey, the egg bound correspondent there. Disgusting. 6 eggs a day? That's just wrong. What do you think? Is it bad? Is it dirty? Is it disgusting to eat your lunch by your computer? Partly because it gets everything dirty, and partly because you should be going out and having a proper meal.
Sophie Tyler, BBC Three Counties Radio.
Sophie, do you have your lunch over your keyboard or a little snack or something?
I'm at home around lunchtime.
How long do you work a day?
8 hours, but split into 2.
Unbelievable. Sophie Tyler, living the dream, I suspect. Split into 2. She can't even turn up on time for most of that. Sophie, thank you. Excellent stuff. We'll discuss this more. Morning, dear listener. This is Iain Lee, BBC Three Counties Radio. It's Thursday. That means it's nearly the weekend, which is... That's got to be good news, hasn't it, for everybody? Unless you're doing something pretty grim at the weekend, which I guess is a distinct possibility. Lots coming up in the next hour of the show, and as always, I'm sure you'd like to have your say on this. I'll give you the ways to get in touch in a bit. We'll be talking about a decision which is due today on plans for a small casino in Luton. A local church objects. They say casinos should be out of town. Do you think having more casinos will increase problems with gambling? If you've had a problem with gambling, I'd love to hear from you. 08459 455 555. We told you back in September about a Hertfordshire charity which helps people with HIV and AIDS. It was struggling to survive due to a lack of funding. Now they fear it will close in 2 months. One of the volunteers will be joining me in the next half an hour. And the Public Health Minister says office workers should take a proper lunch break rather than engaging in the disgusting habit of eating a sandwich at their desk. Do you agree? I do it. It is pretty grim, really. It's not very nice. We're going to have a look later on what's fallen into the keyboard at the desk I sit at. Oh, I bet it's horrible. You can go to facebook.com/BBC3CR. You can send us an email, 3cr@bbc.co.uk. Or, and this is the best way to do it, look, I can see that all of the lines are free at the moment. You can give me a call. 08459 455 555.
BBC Three Counties Radio.
Now, will having more casinos increase problems with gambling? 4 firms are in the running to build a small casino in Luton, with a decision due to be reached later today. The Borough Council is one of only 10 in the country that can grant the licences. 2 bidders have applied to expand existing casinos, while 2 developers want to build new premises at Church Street and Kimpton Road. Well, earlier on, I spoke to Stephen Gardner. He's a reformed gambler from Milton Keynes. I asked him if a new casino would encourage more gambling.
Well, it will do, because look, most people are going to be able to go to a casino and have a great time.
Yeah.
And they might do it once a month, once a week, maybe in some cases. They might be able to do it, I don't know, once a year as an annual treat. But it's always going to find out, and that's the nature of gambling, it's going to find out the person who wants to repeat the action as soon as they possibly can, repeat the process of the excitement of gambling, and they will become the frequent visitors, and that is the bread and butter. In the same way that for a gambling, for a casino, in the same way that a lot of pubs, they do rely on their fair share of alcoholics.
Well, on the line, I've got Steve Donoghue, who's a management consultant who specialises in the gambling industry. Morning, Steve.
Hey, good morning.
Steve, we'll come to you in a second. I'm joined in the studio by Erwin Tadiar, who is the church secretary for Luton Central Baptist Church, which is situated near G Casino, one of the 4 applicants. Morning, Erwin.
Good morning, Ian.
Erwin, why are you opposed to the potential expansion of one of these casinos?
Well, primarily, Ian, let's just set this in context. We were asked, as part of the consultation process, to comment on the plan, on the application by G Casino to expand or to be granted a small casino licence. Our opposition really is very much in the social conscience tradition of Christianity as it has operated in this country for hundreds of years, and this protection of the vulnerable. It is one of the stated objectives of Luton's gambling policy, or licensing policy, that the vulnerable should be protected. Luton Central Baptist Church hosts, at the moment, 2 gambling addiction counselling groups during the week, with the potential for a 3rd one to be starting to run as well. On top of that, the church and indeed the casino are situated in the town centre, in the middle of a university campus, and on the edge of a deprived neighbourhood in Luton. The Parktown neighbourhood is, an area of social deprivation. What we are saying is, OK, the law of the land says there should be small casinos. A casino will come to Luton, but we are saying where G Casino proposed to put it is not the place to put it.
Why is that the wrong place?
As we said, we host, gambling addiction counselling groups. This is sending out the wrong signals. The objection really is that, if people want to gamble, they should make the specific decision to gamble. They should, the location of a casino should be somewhere people should travel out to engage in an activity which is legal under the law of the land. They can go and do that. What we're saying is basically minimise the incidence of potentially casual gambling and making it available to larger numbers of people.
So your suggestion would be to have the casino outside of town, so that it makes it harder for what you describe as the casual gambler to kind of just wander in off the street.
Quite right, yes.
Steve, that makes sense, doesn't it? Have it outside of town, so that those that are perhaps more vulnerable have a bit of protection?
It would make sense if there was kind of any hard evidence to back it up. This kind of idea has been based on old research, which basically stated you increase the level of gambling, you increase the level of problem gambling. And what we've seen around the world is actually this doesn't happen. And what the researchers are coming out with now is that they think this is due to the problem gambling prevention measures which have been put in place. So a casino is the most regulated, heavily supervised gambling environment you can go into. So all the staff are trained to look for problem gambling behaviours.
But Steve, they're not going to. They're not. If there's a bloke there that's spending his life savings and his wife's life savings and has just sold his car, they're not going to know that, are they? They're not going to. And also, they're not going to turn him away if he's spending cash.
Well, firstly, yes, they are if they think he's showing problem gambling behaviour.
Well, how will they know?
Well, because people show signs of distress.
No.
Yes. Yeah. No, people do not sit there and gamble their life away calmly with a smile on their face. They show signs of distress. There's also other activities, the amount of play, the frequency of play.
But they won't know, Steve, whether that person can afford that or not. If there's someone turning up every single day...
This is an inherent problem with gambling per se, is that, I mean, it's the same with National Lottery tickets. Nothing to stop you going up and buying 1 million.
No, but I think that saying that the staff at these casinos are trained to spot people that may be gambling addicts, I don't quite know, having worked with people who are addicts, I don't quite know how they're going to spot that.
Well,
How is a croupier or someone behind the bar going to go, hang on a minute, that bloke there, he's sold his house to pay for this, we're not going to serve him anymore?
Well, no, obviously they're not going to know the individual financial circumstances of each customer. What you tend to do, I mean, first let's look at problem gamblers. Firstly, are a very small proportion of the population, less than 1%. Secondly, most of the research at the moment is leading to the idea that problem gamblers are kind of born rather than just created.
Steve, let me interrupt you for a second. Let's put those points to Owen. Just having a casino isn't going to make someone an addict.
Yeah.
It's kind of inherent within them, Owen. What's your take on that?
Well, there is research to suggest that, I think the British Gambling Commission's own research suggested that there was 0.07% of people in the UK were pathological gamblers, which are, the die-hard gambling addicts. And there was another potentially up to 6% who are at risk from gambling behaviour.
Which is methodologically questionable and is not being continued.
The research is invalid, Owen.
Well, this is something for the Gambling Commission to...
There's a lot of questions about the way it's being conducted.
Okay, I don't want to particularly argue about all the research because yes, we could do that. Yeah. But Erwin, the gambling. There's such a small percentage that are gambling addicts or potentially gambling addicts. Why should those people who can gamble responsibly? I can gamble responsibly. Why should I suffer and be forced to travel further just to protect that tiny minority who will find places to go and gamble anywhere?
It is, as you say, basically a protection of the minority. I suppose, based on our perspective on things, basically we are looking at really affording people who are most at risk protection from themselves at the end of the day. Making that less likely to... making it more difficult is, one way of going towards that. We are pragmatic about this issue. We are not, basically po-faced Puritans who say, thou shalt not enjoy yourselves at all. No, we're saying, enjoy yourselves, do it responsibly, but make it also, put enough safeguards around it to ensure that those who would be affected by this have that protection.
The Church's letter of objection was the only opposition to any of the 4 schemes.
It was indeed.
Does that surprise you?
No, we were only asked to comment on basically the scheme which was closest to us, which was in line with basically the consultation guidelines.
And no one else objected?
I noticed that there were no other objections to any of the other casino
Does that disappoint you?
Plans. I'm trying to think of what the other locations were, but I suppose, we would say the G Casino abuts our premises, and they say because of the role that we play and the hosting role that we have for, basically Gamblers Anonymous, and it was, for us, a thing, we need to make a stand on this, and we need to outline our position on this quite clearly.
Steve, do you have any sympathy for those people that are struggling with what is an addiction?
Absolutely. The industry does a massive amount, puts lots of money into research, lots of money into treatment, and this is, I have to say, what certain parties are never willing to accept, is that actually the industry doesn't want problem gamblers. The industry wants to run, and does run, a highly regulated leisure activity for adults, which it realises affects a tiny percentage of its customers and wants to do everything it can to help them. What we have to do is take this in context. The reason why there is a licence in Luton is because what was set up in the 2005 Gambling Act was a pilot study. And so we have 16 licences, 8 large, 8 small, and they are in a variety of locations which were chosen by the Casino Advisory Panel, who chose them as a test to see what the impact would be if you had them in different types of areas. So the reason Luton was chosen was because it would be in an urban area.
OK, Steve, we have to... Owen, you've got 20 seconds. Anything you want to come back and say?
I just basically say, it was shared with me by one of the people who attends one of the gambling groups in church that, their quest for a win is equivalent to a Christian search for salvation. I should hope, if a resistance for that kind of power in your life, is basically, that speaks volumes in terms of...
Owen, thank you very much for coming, indeed. 08459 455 555. Be interested to hear your story. If you or your family have been touched by gambling addiction, and it is an addiction, and it's recognised by the World Health Organisation as a medical condition. Now, a charity which supports people living with HIV in Hertfordshire faces closure within 2 months after having its funding cut. The Crescent in St Albans was receiving £200,000 a year from Hertfordshire County Council and Hertfordshire NHS Trust. But people are now being asked to travel to Watford and use the services of another support service, Hearts Aid. Our reporter, Sophie Soleri, has been speaking to people who use their services.
I was actually referred to the Crescent from a nearby hospital, the hospital that I go to. They also had alternative therapies where they used to give us some acupuncture and massaging and things like that.
I also came to the Crescent for a massage. I haven't been able to have those therapies, and my body seems to be tightening up and aching and more susceptible to cramps, etc., which the massage solved. It's week to week. I was fine, but I haven't had a massage for 6 to 8 weeks now, and my body's seizing up, I feel. Plus the aspect of meeting other people that are in the same position as you.
But could you not do that at Hearts Aid?
I wouldn't even know how to get to Hearts Aid, especially where. Apparently they've got a satellite in Watford, but from what I've heard, there's never people there.
Have you not given the new service a go?
To be honest, no, I haven't, because I haven't been able to get hold of anyone.
Why is it not an alternative for you?
If people go on the bus, it takes 2 or 3 hours. So by the time you get over there, you're tired because of the travelling, and you have your 5 minutes, and then you've got to wait for a bus to come all the way back.
I don't get to see my friends anymore. I don't have any massages anymore. I don't even get acupuncture anymore.
The reason is why people are so disgruntled about this business is that the Crescent hasn't been there for 2 years. It has been there for over 25 years, helping people. I can tell you that I was diagnosed with the HIV virus in 98, and I was taken to the Crescent by my sister and sat down and told what to do. 2 years later, they got me a home. They found me benefits. They found me a dentist. Would you believe that there was a great difficulty getting a dentist to take on a patient with AIDS? The feeling of the building is still existing because of the love there. We're losing our home.
Well, for the last 2 years, the Crescent has been surviving on volunteers using their own money. One of those is Iain Murter, and he joins me now. Iain, we last spoke to you in September, I think it was. What's happened since then?
Since then, obviously at the end of August, everybody was made redundant, so all the staff went.
Just going to move this a little bit closer.
Sure.
To this. There we go.
And after that, it was decided by a small group of volunteers that they would try and keep it going for as long as possible. We did get some assistance from some very generous Liberal Democrat local councillors who accessed their locality budgets to help us with gas and electricity, just to keep it going as a volunteer service. But that was only really to enable us to get through to the point where the new contract that was in tender at the moment, as you're probably aware, with Hertfordshire County Council, was actually to go through. So we were invited by the County Council to apply for this. As part of that process is a pre-qualification questionnaire, which examines all sorts of aspects of your operation, your staff, qualifications, experience, policies, procedures, etc. And we passed all of that, bar the financial side of things, the competency side of things. They refused to allow us to proceed because they said we'd been spending more money than we had as income for the last 2 years. It's hardly surprising, really, when they were the people that stopped funding us.
How much of your own money have you ploughed into this project?
I think in total now it must be in the region of about 10,000.
Wow.
I was left a small amount of money by my paternal grandmother, who I'd been discussing this whole situation with for some time earlier in the last couple of years, which has helped me with that.
You sold your car as well,
I sold my car at Christmas, yes, to see me through a little bit longer.
So you're dedicated to this. But how much longer can you go on surviving on donations and you know, from your own pocket?
Unless we have something significant in. I mean, we've got a lot of people promising things, and some people have been incredibly generous and continue to be. But unless something radically changes, then we've probably got a couple of months.
Really?
Because I need to get a job.
It closes?
Yeah, effectively.
Herts County Council say that Herts Aid service is more efficient, it's more central, it can help people countrywide. Why can't people just go there?
The problem with the service in Watford, from both my opinion and that of very many people that use the Crescent, is that it's not a sole-use site. There is no area where they can go, or a separate entrance or a separate facility. You have to go into a shared service environment, and people are naturally concerned that there will be people there who will see them and know that if they're not here for one thing, they must be here for the other. So you've got an automatic disclosure risk there. And also up until extremely recently, I think in the last week or so, it was only available 3 days a week. Well, 8 hours spread over 3 days a week. So.
Right.
And you have to make an appointment, as you've heard from some of the sound bites from people that have been talking, that just don't find it as an equitable service. We were promised, we were reassured and promised again that what was being offered by Herts Aid would be as good as, or a direct replacement for, at least, the Crescent services, and that has never happened. Herts Aid's contracts were cut short by a year. They now decided to put the whole thing out to tender. We were invited to participate, but then automatically disqualified. So,
right, £200,000 a year you're getting from Herts County Council. There are people who would say, "Listen, everyone's making cuts. Everyone is struggling, and £200,000 a year is a lot of money to go to a centre like this."
Yeah,
what would you say to them?
I'd say all you've got to look at is the cost of medication for one person diagnosed today. If somebody contracts HIV at this point, the latest estimates, just for medication alone and medical attention, not social care costs or anything else, is £360,000 a year. So if by the work we do with schools, colleges, the prison network and what have you, manage to stop one person from contracting HIV, we've effectively funded ourselves for a year or more, nearly 2 years, in fact.
So your work isn't just about helping people with HIV, it's about prevention as well.
Exactly, yeah. I mean, a lot of the work that we were doing when we had a full complement of staff was going to these sort of environments and educating people, and also maintaining medication regimes for those people that are infected, because when somebody's under a proper regime and being looked after, then their chances of passing HIV on are minimal, if non-existent. And also the testing services that we provided, the free testing, once somebody's diagnosed, they're then into the treatment regime, then their viral load goes down, then their transmission risk is minimal.
So you've got 2 months left.
Yeah.
What happens then? What do you do? You're out of the running for this tender. You've been told you can't. You don't qualify for this tender. So that's it, isn't it? Is there anything else you can do?
Well, as I think I've mentioned before, I'll have to do something drastic, perhaps. I can't see the county council now ever wanting to fund us again. They seem to be firmly of the opinion that the sooner we're out of the way, the better. And anything they can do to hasten that, they will do. So it'll have to be something more direct that forces action from somewhere else.
Well, I know you've been on before, and you've talked about chaining yourself to a wall or something. Is this all puff and blustery? Is this actually going to happen?
No. If necessary, there's some nice railings outside the Crescent. I'll lash myself to those. And
will that have any effect, though? Will that really have any? I mean, it will show that you're committed, but beyond that, what will that achieve?
Well, it's my last card, really. It's the only thing left I can do.
Right.
The situation is you're left with all of these people who can't really speak for themselves, apart from the very brave souls, I think, who've come forward.
Yeah.
You've got a lot of people who have nowhere else to go. They don't have an alternative. And I was always taught that if you see someone who is unable to defend themselves and they're being effectively oppressed or controlled or ignored, then you have to stand up and talk for them. If you can do it, then you should, and that's exactly what I'm doing.
Well, Herts County Council aren't here, but I'm sure they're listening to this, or they will listen to this at some point. What's your message to them?
I think Herts County Council have to live up to both their motto and also the sort of name, and show that they have got heart. This isn't a funding cut. This isn't about saving money. This is about preserving a local service, HeartsAid, effectively. The amount of money that they were giving HeartsAid is effectively double what they had before all of this started. So they're effectively getting our money. It's not saving them any money. In fact, it's costing them more because they're now having to pay rent for premises which they weren't doing when they were using us. So more money is going on fixed costs than is going on services to people. So that can't be the right way around. Surely the idea is to save on back office costs and premises and increase the amount of money, if it has to be reduced, on what's there to provide services for people.
Iain, no doubt we'll speak to you again at some point in the future.
Thank you.
Thank you very much for coming in today. From the Crescent, facebook.com/BBC 3CR is the place if you want to go. No, don't keep putting adverts up for your plumbing and heating business, Tony. Look, because I can just get rid of it just like that. For goodness sake, that's not what it's for.
On FM, AM and online. BBC Three Counties Radio.
Yeah. Hey, do you remember yesterday's show? Wasn't it great? If you didn't hear it, or you don't remember it, then go and listen to it on the BBC iPlayer. Anyway, we told you all about the drug cat. It's a herbal stimulant. It's legal. Yeah, I know some of you got quite excited by that prospect. Government advisers were considering whether to ban it. It turns out that they're not going to. MP Mark Lancaster wanted it to be banned. We'll catch up with him in a couple of minutes. And so, are some foods more acceptable to eat at your desk than others? At lunchtime or a little tea break, do you sit at your desk and munch on a sandwich? Or an apple? Or an orange? Oh, stinky orange. No, don't eat oranges in public, they stink. Or maybe you have, like a little pot of pasta that you made the night before. Paul Scoynes, the political correspondent here at BBC Three Counties Radio, makes his own pot noodles. I know! How clever of him. Well, the new Minister for Public Health describes eating a sandwich at the office desk over a keyboard as disgusting. We'll find out why in a little bit. Facebook.com/BBC 3CR. Or you can send us a text, 81333, starting your text 3CR. Or, more importantly, you can give us a phone call. All the lines are free. 08459 455 555. The government's official drugs advisor have rejected calls to ban the drug known as cat. Even though it's possibly been linked to 14 deaths in this country. The Advisory Council on the Misuse of Drugs found insufficient evidence that it caused either health or social problems. Well, it's widely used by members of the Somali community, specifically in Milton Keynes. And Milton Keynes North MP Mark Lancaster, who we spoke to yesterday, rejoins us again this morning. Morning, Mark. You must be disappointed with this.
Yes, we are a bit disappointed with it, really, but it's worth remembering that the ACMD are just an advisory body, and they will be advising the government, but not ultimately making the decision. Also, primarily, they were looking at the health concerns, and I understand the body actually had a split decision. They did accept that in some cases there was liver toxicity, but on balance decided that it wasn't overwhelming. So I think really the fight goes on, but certainly I was slightly surprised by the decision.
We spoke to a professor yesterday, one of the people who advised the Advisory Council, and he had actually tried cat, and he said that some of the claims made by the anti-cat group were exaggerated, that it takes an hour and a half for you to get the hit, that it's not particularly prolonged, it doesn't make you aggressive, it doesn't last 48 hours, it lasts at best a few hours.
Well, I think different people have different opinions. There's probably a difference between, with great respect to the professor, trying it once as a one-off, and a community that use it on a regular basis, and almost sort of have it every other day. I think they are two very different positions. But of course, there's many other aspects to this, apart from just the health aspect, which is primarily what ACMD looked at. And I think really the community are primarily concerned with the knock-on impact of chewing cat and perhaps being out of the family environment for up to 48 hours and the impact that has on families. So there's many more aspects than just the health aspect, which is primarily ACMD we're looking at.
But I don't quite understand the line about being out of family for 48 hours. What evidence is there to support that?
Well, I think if you go into the community in Milton Keynes or Malfreshies around the country, Bristol, London, wherever, these cat houses, part of the culture is that you will end up going into the cat house for a period of 24, 36 hours. It's much a social event as
so not 48 hours. We've lost 12 hours already. Have you been to these cat houses, Mark?
Yes, I have. I've certainly spent a lot of time talking to my community, talking about these things. Actually, it can be longer. I mean, there's no set period of time. You don't go in and start the stopwatch and after a set period of time come out. So let's not get too hung up on whether it's 36, 48, 53 or whatever hours.
Well, no, it is,
but it's a prolonged period of time, which is the key point.
But people can do that when they go to the pub. They can go on benders for a couple of days. What's the difference?
Oh, well, I think there's a big difference, actually, because what's actually happening here is that whilst people are away in that gathering, they're not contributing to looking after their family, and it's causing family breakdowns. And this is just one aspect. It's not the only aspect. And I think the argument is that when you combine the various effects, on balance, we should follow every other country in the Western world, including America and every other country in Europe, to ban this substance. We are now completely out of step with every other country.
Either out of step or leading the way. Mark, what happens next? What do you do next?
Well, what happens next, simply, is that the ACMD will make their report. They made their report yesterday, and that's submitted to the Home Secretary. Now, ultimately, it's her who has to make the decision, and the ACMD report will be just one of many factors that she considers. So,
and what will you do? How will your campaign progress to get this drug made illegal?
Well, I will simply now request to go and see the Home Secretary again to make sure that when she makes her decision, it's a balanced decision based partly on this report and other factors. But, you know, actually things have moved from 7 years ago when the ACMD last reported, because they now accept that there could be some impact from a health point of view. One of the biggest problems we faced is that so little information has been collected. They're also saying that for the first time, cats should be recorded in hospitals so we can begin to gather the evidence. This has never happened before. So actually, in many respects, the report is a step forward for at least understanding in broader terms what impact cat has.
Have you tried cat, Mark?
No, I haven't.
Okay. Do you think maybe you should, to get a better understanding of what it is you're fighting against?
No, not necessarily, because I think I trust my community. So when I have an awful lot of people coming to tell me, what it's like, I trust them. There's many things in life I probably could try, but personally don't really want to.
Mark, thanks very much for your time. We'll speak to you again at some later point. Milton Keynes North MP Mark Lancaster there.
Call 08459 455 555.
08459 455 555.
BBC Three Counties Radio.
Davey S is off all week, I'm afraid. He's very, very poorly, bless him. I sent him a little text and he said he'll be fine, don't worry. It's nothing like that. But he's very poorly, poor thing. So David Prever, as far as I know, unless things have changed, will be back on today. Talking about eating at your desk at work is disgusting. It's disgusting, says the new health minister, or whatever it is she's supposed to be. I can never quite remember. There's all these different kind of ministers and bits and pieces. Minister for Public Health, that's it, isn't it? Yes, of course. Gary says, it's OK for her to talk. Some people don't have the time or money. Do you remember back in the day, when you did get an hour-long lunch break and 2 tea breaks. Do you remember? I remember working at B-Jams. Had to have an hour-long lunch break and 2 15-minute tea breaks, otherwise going to the union. We didn't have a union. I was 15 years old. I was working there illegally anyway. Don't get that anymore. And also, I can't, I'm doing all right. I can't afford to go out and have a lunch every day. I've stopped having coffee. There was a thing in the paper a couple of days ago. And I can't, I'm going to pluck figures from my backside here. Basically saying, if you go to Starbucks or Costa's or Nero and get a coffee every day, you're spending a few £1,000s a year. It's going to cost you a fortune to do that. I can't afford to go and have a coffee and a lunch every day. Packed lunch. Peter says, a doner kebab gets the office stinky. Oh dear. I tell you what, I was on the tube yesterday, and someone thought it was appropriate to eat some fried chicken. I don't know whether it was the Colonel's, I don't know whether it was Dixie, or any of those other vaguely southern fried chicken places that are opening up. But it flipping... Don't eat stinky foods, right, in public places, OK? Don't eat fried chicken. Oranges are my big thing. No, don't eat oranges. There's someone at work here who eats really stinky yoghurt. They do really strong, smelling yoghurt. Don't eat stinky foods. Lynn says, when you work part-time, you don't get a lunch break. Less than 5.5 hours a day, so you eat at your desk. Anon says, it's rude from the perspective of smell, fish, egg, etc. That's Dealey. Dealey loves an egg sandwich. They're impractical from the perspective of crumbs and mess. Pasty, filled jacket potatoes. They're silly from the standpoint of health and well-being, all eating at desk. Don't do it. It's unsociable. You're kidding yourself. You'll get more work done, and you won't even digest it properly because you're eating under stress. Well, there you go. Front pages, shall we? Yeah, why not? Go on, then. Independent. Handbagged. Cameron's promise of EU referendum by 2017 provokes storms of controversy. Deputy PM warns of years of uncertainty because of a protracted, ill-defined renegotiation. Eurosceptics, business leaders and top Tory donor join chorus of disapproval. French Foreign Minister says, if Britain wants to leave, we'll roll out the red carpet. Yeah, they would say that, wouldn't they? Blooming French. So that's the Independent saying that, actually, what Cameron said yesterday was a little bit of a disaster. The Times goes the other way. Business backs PM's call for mandate on Europe. Business leaders give David Cameron a resounding vote of confidence today after the Prime Minister staked Britain's EU membership on his ability to recast Europe. I met David Cameron once before he was the Prime Minister. It was on the One Show. I was asking him to eat for some reason I was asking him to eat what do you call that thing with a sausage and pastry? A sausage roll. I have no idea why. It was one of those things that the One Show thought was so clever and so crazy. Ask David Cameron to eat a sausage roll. I found him a most unpleasant gentleman. If I'm honest, he was a bit rude to me. As soon as the show had finished, he turned his back on me and spoke to that lady and Adrian Childs, for it was when they were presenting it. And I was kind of sat there for a bit. It's like when you're at a party. Maybe you don't get this, maybe this is just me. And you're talking to a couple of people, and then one of the people turns their back on you to talk, and you're kind of out of the conversation. I sat there and was like, I'll be off it. Shall I? Yep. The Guardian. Let's talk, says Merkel. As Cameron gambles on the EU, and Nigel Farage is banging on this is a victory for him. The Daily Telegraph. Merkel hints at deal for Cameron. Fathers caring for children at record high. The number of stay-at-home fathers reached a record high last year. Figures show as families saw a rise in female breadwinners. Men now make up nearly 10%. Is that all? Of those who care for children while their partner works. I have told the current Mrs. Lee many, many times, if she started earning more than me, I would totally quit this nonsense and I would stay at home and look after the kids without a moment's notice. If she earned more than me and enough to sustain our luxury lifestyle, yeah, right, I'd stop doing this rubbish at a moment's notice. I would send an email saying, sorry, bosses, that's it. I'm out of here. I'm being slightly flippant. I love doing this, of course, but... yeah, I'd stay at home. I've no qualms about being a stay-at-home dad. Would do it at a moment's notice. The Daily Mail. See, the Mail's applauding him, but the Independent is not. Yes, Prime Minister. Now go and finish the job, Mr. Cameron. David Cameron pulled off the seemingly impossible last night with his historic EU referendum pledge. And then there's a picture of two girls wearing dresses at the television awards. A vacuous, pointless industry applauding itself with vacuous, pointless awards. Well done, guys. Well done. The Daily Express, there's another lady who went to that awards, and killer freeze to get worse. 6 inches of snow and minus 20 degrees on the way. And The Sun, Jacob, 15, is amazing Harry Styles double. identical, with the ID spelt 1D, like in the pop group One Direction. He doesn't look like Harry Styles. What they've done is they've blow-dried his hair into a bird's nest, and they think that's enough as a lookalikey. And then Horsegate exclusive, Burger King, Burger King chain dumps millions of burgers in dodgy meat alert. I mean, the Sun has just given up all pretense. I'm kind of thinking of dropping the Sun from the front when I look at the front pages, because it's just pointless. We might as well just go and get, I don't know, Roy of the Rovers or something. Victor comic to give us a bit more perspective on what's happening in the world. It's a shame, I used to like the Sun, but it's silly now. And coming up, some foods are more acceptable to eat at your desk than others. Is that right? Well, the new Minister for Public Health describes eating a sandwich at the office desk over a keyboard as disgusting. We'll find out just how disgusting my keyboard is before 8 a.m. 08459 455 555 is the telephone number. Ollie, you whispered something in my ear. Were you telling me that Elizabeth isn't there? Well, we'll play a trail, shall we? Why the hell not? Let's do that. Now, is it acceptable to eat food at your desk? Or is it rude? Are there certain foods that are more appropriate and perhaps a little better suited? I eat cheese sandwiches, grated cheese, mayonnaise, maybe a bit of pickle in their sandwich as well. At my desk, and it just drops off and falls in between the keys. We're going to send Ollie, our work experience lad, up to my desk in a bit. My desk. Yeah, that's a laugh. And we're going to have a look and see what's in the keyboard. But we'll do that in a second. The reason we're talking about this is because the Daily Telegraph is among several papers to report calls from the Minister for Public Health, Anna Soubry, that office workers should take a proper lunch break. She describes eating a sandwich at the office desk as disgusting and says we should all take the time to cook and enjoy meals. Yeah, like we can do that. Well, Dr. Lisa Ackley is the Managing Director of Hygiene Audit Systems Limited in St Albans. Good morning, Doctor.
Good morning.
Is it disgusting to eat at your desk?
Well, the thing is, it matters more what you do afterwards, I think, whether you clean your desk up. And so we're going to find out what lurks under your keyboard, aren't we, in a minute?
I'm a little bit concerned. Because I did have a chunk of cheese fall in there the other day, and I tried to get it out, Doctor, but it fell in between the G and the H.
I think the trouble as well is that if lots of people are doing this, then you can, in some offices, get mice infestation. Because there's so much food around, they actually think, the kitchen's nice and clean downstairs, but I'm going to go up and see what's in the drawers.
Some people will bat mice. I wouldn't mind. That would make the office a little bit more fun. But some people would bang on about germs and stuff. But germs can't really hurt you, can they?
Well, they can actually, and one of the biggest problems with desks is when people are hot desking. So really it's having consideration for the next people who might be using your desk. So not just about eating at your desk, but also if you've got a cold and you're spluttering all over your keyboard, then all the virus particles are going to be on your keyboard ready for the next person, and they can actually survive for quite some time. So, courtesy to the next person, if you are hot desking, is to get an antibacterial wipe or something and just wipe over the keyboard. You can get keyboard wipes or just any old wipe.
Oh no, Doctor! Really? You want me to wipe down my keyboard just so that Jonathan Vernon Smith doesn't catch anything from me?
I think he'd be very upset if he was going to catch something from you, wouldn't he?
Well, I think we're all going to catch something from him. He's off with a terrible stomach upset.
In that case, he definitely needs to clean the keyboard after he's been using it.
Doesn't he? Just dirty boy. Are there some foods that are more... apples, for example, that's got to be more acceptable, because that's not going to make... Apples are clean and pure. That's not going to make a keyboard dirty.
Well, if your hands get dirty and they're all juicy and sugary, then it is going to make the keyboard sticky, and then something else will stick to it and so on. So I think it's really, if it's your keyboard, maybe not so much of a worry. But if you're sharing it with other people, it's not very nice to go and you start using a keyboard that someone else has smeared mayonnaise, apple juice, all sorts of other things, cold viruses, norovirus. Not very nice, really.
You're making the world...
in consideration.
You're making... I mean, fair play. The BBC Three Counties office, let's be honest, it's disgusting. It is a horrible, horrible place for many, many reasons. But you're making it sound terrifying now. Are we all seriously at danger, but just by using the mouse? I have to use the same mouse here as Nick Coffer and Roberto. Am I at danger?
Well, so long as they're very nice, clean people, then that's absolutely fine. But if they're ill, if they've got an illness and they're starting to go down with something, then maybe just give it a quick wipe before you get onto it, or maybe they could do that for you before they leave. It's just really a matter of being sensible, not being over the top.
Okay.
But if you are sharing a desk, then just have a bit of consideration for the next person.
And finally, Doctor, my youngest son, he was 1 on Monday, and it was fantastic. He sneezed in my mouth last night. I'm in trouble there, aren't I?
Well, it depends if he's carrying anything infectious.
Oh, he probably is. Babies, all children are carrying infection. Honestly, I was there talking to him, and he did a really big, unexpected sneeze straight into my mouth.
Oh, dear.
I'm in trouble. Dr. Lisa Ackley, lovely to talk to you. Thank you very much. Well, as I say, there is a desk I use. I use a couple of computers, but the one I use after the show is the one that Jonathan Vernon-Smith uses as well. And I'd like to have my little packed lunch, little sandwich, bit of mayo, bit of cheese in there. We've sent our work experience, Ollie Bayliss, into the depths of the Three Counties newsroom. I believe you're up there now, Ollie.
Hello, yes, I am indeed, yes.
Well, so describe exactly where you are and what scene you...
What's going on my keyboard?
Oh,
well, I've had to kick David Prever off his seat
because
he was currently trying to use your keyboard.
He's only a part-time. Come on, don't let him get too cocky. So you've kicked him off my keyboard.
I won't anywhere near it. It's looking pretty disgusting.
It's not disgusting. It's fine.
David says it isn't disgusting. I think it's pretty gross. There's a lot of crumbs in and amongst the keyboard.
That's my lunch for later.
Turn it upside down and give it a tap on the back. Let's see what falls out on the desk.
Okay, turn it upside down.
Yeah.
3 magic taps.
Yeah.
Turn it back over. It's not too bad.
Okay.
There's a few biscuit crumbs.
This is Jonathan Vernon-Smith's keyboard.
Possibly
as well.
Possibly digestive. Maybe hobnob.
The hobnob will be Jonathan's.
Yeah, hobnob would have been Jonathan's.
Yeah. Is there any sign of that cheese that I left in there?
No, not really.
Oh man, that's
maybe a bit of mayonnaise.
Yeah, possibly. That's me.
Is that you?
Oh yeah, that's me. Ollie, by touching that keyboard, we're probably all going to get JVS's dicky tummy.
Oh no.
Yeah. So don't come anywhere near me.
Okay.
Ollie, listen, one day you'll grow up and you'll get a paid job here at the BBC. This is how it's done. We've all started like this. We've all started tapping keyboards on the back, haven't we? Ollie, excellent stuff, thank you. Prever, get on with your work. Start prepping the show that you've stolen, for goodness sakes. Jonathan Vernon-Smith still off poorly, which is a shame. Hopefully back next week. But David Prever has gallantly stepped in and offered to use his dirty computer in more ways than one to get you through. And he'll be on at 9 o'clock. We'll find out in about 25 minutes what he's talking about. 08459 455 555. Eating at your desk. Do you do it? Do you try it? Facebook.com/BBC3CR. Shirley says, I refurbish keyboards and laptops. You won't believe the muck in them. Yuck. My boss microwaves a fish dinner where I work upstairs. Ugh, it smells for ages. If you're at a desk now with a keyboard, do us a favour. Turn it upside down. Give it a tap, the 3 magic taps, and a little bit of a shake. See what comes out for us, please. Take a picture and send it to us. Facebook.com/BBC3CR. I want to see the detritus... BBC Three Counties, first for news. I want to see the detritus that falls out of your keyboard, if you would be so bold. Facebook.com/BBC3CR. Or you can give us a call and describe it. 08459 455 555. Hannah says, I can't believe people have the time to moan about this type of thing. There are much more serious things going on in the world than to moan about what people should eat at the computer. You're right, Hannah. There are more serious things. For example, Jacob, 15, is amazing Harry Styles double. This story about the footballer who kicked a ball boy. Don't know anything about football, don't really care. But this was on Twitter last night, and of course I was furious, thinking, multi-millionaire Eden Hazard, or Eden Hazard, you're in England, mate, we're going to call you Eden Hazard. This is in The Sun, page 7. Cops last night probed a sensational football clash when Chelsea star Eden Hazard kicked a ball boy in a cup semi-final match. Charlie Morgan, 17, blocked Hazard's pass to the ball after it went out for a goal kick in the Chelsea v Swansea game. So basically, this multi-millionaire, he earns £170,000 a week. And this ball boy probably gets like 20 quid. Cash in hand and maybe some fags. The football player got sent off, okay? And I read this on Twitter and thought, this is disgusting. Then I've seen the footage. Actually, it's not that bad, right? The ball boy gets the ball and he falls on it. First of all, I didn't know they had ball boys in football. I thought that was tennis. The unsung heroes of Wimbledon, except they're sung every flipping year. So this boy falls on it and he lies on it, and the football player's just trying to do his job. He's just trying to get the ball back and carry on and warrant his £170,000. We should be looking up to this footballer. He's not deliberately kicking the ball boy. Anyway, you go on to read the story, and it says police were present at the Capital One Cup clash, and last night quizzed millionaire's son Charlie. Oh, hang on, so the ball boy's a millionaire's son. All right, okay. Over the incident, which happened in the 77th minute as Chelsea desperately tried to win the match. But no complaint was made. He didn't sustain any injuries. Charlie had tweeted his time-wasting intentions before the 77th minute incident, saying, The king of all ball boys is back, making his final appearance. Hashtag time wasting. Hazard said last night after the drama, the boy put his whole body onto the ball and I was just trying to kick it. I apologise. The ball boy came in the changing room and we had a quick chat. I apologise and the boy apologised. I'm kind of on... I know I shouldn't be. I'm kind of on the football player's side on this. He's just trying to do his job. He gets paid a lot of money, £170,000 a week, and he's trying to justify that. His team was struggling. He wanted to win this match. He had the winning spirit. This ball boy, Charlie Morgan, 17, a millionaire's son, had mentioned on Twitter that he was going to time waste and try and slow the game down and ruin the game. As soon as that tweet was seen, he should have been pulled off. Steady. Should have been taken off the pitch and shouldn't have been allowed to play. Okay? And if you watch the footage, he jumps on the ball. You know when there's an idiot at school, right, who's not very good at football and he gets frustrated because everyone else is playing football and doing it really, really well. So the idiot jumps on it and holds it. And goes, I'll give it... Oh, Steve, give us the ball. Steve! Get off the ball! Ollie, go and kick the ball from underneath him. You do that, don't you? Or you have a pile on. This is what this lad is doing. I'm kind of on the footballer should have either had a pile on and they should have all jumped on him, all 22 men piling on. That would have been awesome. I think he did the right thing. He wasn't deliberately kicking him in the ribs. He wasn't kicking him in the face. He was trying to get the ball back in the way that you do in the school playground. I am totally, and it's very, very rarely I say this, I am totally on the side of the footballer on this and not the ball boy. It makes sense, doesn't it? You're right. You know I'm right. 08459 455 555. Who do you agree with on this? The footballer who was trying to justify his huge salary and was trying to get the game going so that his team could win, or the ball boy, little so-and-so, who's got an undercut, long on top, short at the sides, who had said he was going to time waste when the opportunity arose. The opportunity arose, so he messed around like an idiot. 08459 455 555. Whose side are you on? I feel sorry for the footballer in all of this. Oh, no, we don't want that. We want a little bit of this. That's better. Bit of drama. The more I think about it, the more I'm on the side of this footballer. That kid was being an irritating little so-and-so who was trying to ruin the entertainment of millions of people and preventing that person doing their job. If someone lay on the desk here at BBC Three Counties Radio to stop me doing my job, I'd probably try and kick the desk out from underneath them without a moment's hesitation. I want to do my job. Get out of the way. Jog on, son.
BBC Three Counties Radio, first for news.
Right, so you come into your place of work, Catherine, where I know that you live just to give news to the residents of Beds, Herts and Bucks. And say, for example, I don't know, political reporter Paul Scoynes is lying across your desk, preventing you doing your job.
It could happen.
What would you do?
Yeah, I'd probably stick the boot in.
I feel sorry for this footballer. Tony Fisher, who we spoke to earlier on, he lies across my desk. I would have to kick the desk out from underneath him. I would do it. He's preventing me doing my job. Nick Coffer. I would kick the desk out from under Nick Coffer. Anyway, lots coming up in the next hour of the show, including a decision is due today on plans for a small casino in Luton. A local church objects. They say casinos should be out of town. Do you think having more casinos will increase problems with gambling? An HIV charity in Hertfordshire faces closure within 2 months. The people who use it say they are devastated. We'll hear from them in the next hour. And just 1 in 20 parents can solve maths problems intended for children aged between 8 and 12. How good are you at maths? I'm good. I'm good at maths. I can do it. The adding, the subtracting, the other two. Well, our maths correspondent, Justin Dealey, is putting Three Counties mums and dads to the test. Facebook.com/BBC3CR. Or you can give us a call, 08459 455 555.
BBC Three Counties Radio.
Will having more casinos increase problems with gambling? 4 firms are in the running to build a small casino in Luton, with a decision due to be reached later on today. 2 bidders have applied to expand existing casinos, while 2 developers want to build new premises at Church Street and Kimpton Road. A local church is objecting to the plans for one of the sites. They've been involved in counselling some people with gambling addiction. Earlier on, I met Erwin Tadiar from the Luton Central Baptist Church. He says casinos should be built out of town so people can't casually gamble.
Based on our perspective on things, basically, we are looking at really affording people who are most at risk protection from themselves at the end of the day. Making that less likely to... making it more difficult is, one way of going towards that. We are pragmatic about this issue. We are not, basically po-faced Puritans to say, thou shalt not enjoy yourselves at all. No, we're saying, enjoy yourselves, do it responsibly, but make it also, put enough safeguards around it to ensure that those who would be affected by this have that protection.
Well, Dr. Mark Griffiths is a Professor of Gambling Studies at Nottingham Trent University. Good morning, Doctor.
Morning, Ian.
How much impact will a small casino like this have on Luton?
In all honesty, very little impact on problem gambling, and I was very interested just to hear the spokesperson there, because the argument is almost null and void in the fact that if you've got access to the internet, a mobile phone or interactive television, you have got access to thousands of casinos in your home. I mean, he was talking about making it harder for people to gamble. Anybody that has any kind of access to any form of electronic technology that's hooked up to the internet now can gamble, basically 24/7, 365 days of the year. And one small casino in Luton, even though it may well be in a populated area, is not going to significantly impact in terms of problem gambling across the community. And in fact, offline casinos, now in terms of them getting licenses, they have to demonstrate what they're going to do in terms of player protection, harm minimisation, and in fact online there's probably much less in terms of protecting players. So in fact, the whole argument about making it harder, it will actually be very hard for problem gamblers to gamble in casinos because of things like self-exclusion policies, because there's lots of signage and education and prevention messages there. But of course, we've just got a natural shift. I mean, we have become a nation of gamblers, and obviously ever since the introduction of the Gambling Act in September 2007, the one biggest change people will have noticed is the mass advertising on television now. And of course, that is stimulating a demand for gambling, but a lot of that is actually geared towards online gambling rather than, say, offline casino gambling.
Earlier on, we spoke to Steve Donoghue, who's a management consultant who specialises in the gambling industry. It's been years since I've been to a casino, but he was saying that the staff there are trained to spot and help problem gamblers. Is that true? How could they spot? How would they know if someone was struggling?
Yeah, Steve's right. I've known Steve for many, many years. And what happens now is that anybody who operates and within the gambling arena usually gets training from organisations like the charity GamCare. I mean, GamCare just happens to be one of the charities that I co-founded back in the 1990s. They do offer training to all staff. The thing is, if you've got a gambler that is there all day, every day, the bottom line is they're probably using a lot of their disposable income, probably going beyond their disposable income. You can't naturally make assumptions that people necessarily have a problem, but, there have been a number of studies done now looking at kind of, if you like, soft signs for potential problem gamblers out there. But you're right, you can't just look at somebody and say they're a problem gambler. Most of it is based on kind of longer-term observational. People who work in casinos, they get to know their regulars. They get to know, whether these people... I mean, one of the kind of soft signs of problem gambling that you can spot are people who constantly go to the cash point machine on the floor. Most normal gamblers, they come in, and I'm one. I mean, people, even though I'm a professor of gambling, says I do gamble myself, but when I gamble, I'm buying entertainment. Okay, if I win, it's a bonus. One thing I never, ever do when I go and play a roulette in my local casino is that once I've lost the money I'm prepared to lose, is walk to the cash point and get more money out. Problem gamblers, it's one of their absolutely typical behaviours that once they've exhausted the funds they came in with, will continually go to the cash point. Now, that would be a behavioural indicator. It doesn't necessarily you are definitely a problem gambler, but it is one of the signs that somebody might have a problem if they're constantly going to the cash point. But again, it's actually easier to spot problem gamblers online than it is offline because, of course, online operators can see every single click that the person is doing on their website. They know exactly how long they're there, what they've played, how much money they've spent, etc. But it is actually harder offline. But all all of these staff, they are trained about problem gambling. I mean, the good news is that the vast majority of people who gamble don't have problems, but we do know that gambling, just like alcohol and other consumptive activities, it is a problem for a small minority. And I've spent 26 years studying problem gambling, and, it's not that I in any way putting this issue to one side. It is a real big issue in the country. And in the last 4 years, we've seen a 50% increase in problem gambling in this country based between the 2007 and the 2011 surveys that we've done. So we know that it's something we do need to keep a handle on. But the good news is even at now, even though there's been a 50% increase, it's still below 1% of the adult population. But as I say, Steve Donoghue was right when he said that gambling staff are trained about problem gambling to spot problem gamblers, but I would argue it's not the gambling industry's responsibility to, if you like, to treat problem gamblers. No. It's their job to refer on to those agencies that can help.
And you're right, and it's the same. The majority of people who drink alcohol are responsible drinkers, and it's a tiny minority that become addicted, and and it's the same kind of thing. What help is there for people who think that they may have, or someone in their family might have, a gambling problem?
Well, the first thing I would say is that GamCare, who are the national they run a national helpline here. If you get in touch with their number, you can Google it, and it will come up straight away as the top one there. You can ring the national helpline. They can put you in touch with people in the local area, local specialists, break-even groups. There are over 200 groups of Gamblers Anonymous up and down the country. You can get referrals through your GP to clinical psychologists. There is help out there for people who have a gambling problem, and there's usually something within the local community as well. But there are, if you type in gambling therapy online, there's a national online kind of online advice and counselling service online. I say GamCare is out there. We've got Gamblers Anonymous. There are some NHS trusts. So, for instance, in London, the Soho Trust have a walk-in clinic there for problem gamblers as well.
But also, I'd imagine you could go and speak to your GP about it as well, as it is an addiction.
Yeah, I mean, I'm somebody, I actually wrote the British Medical Association's policy on this in 2007, and obviously one of the things I've been trying to do is highlight it as an issue amongst GPs. A lot of GPs don't see it as a health issue, right. But obviously when you do get into trouble with your gambling, things like depression, anxiety, lots of kind of psychosomatic symptoms caused by stress from the worry about the fact you're in big financial trouble, these are all things that GPs should take note of, and they can refer people to clinical psychologists as a result. If you go to a GP and say, I've got a gambling problem, they can do something about that. Not the GP themselves, but the GPs are in a position to refer on to experts that can help.
OK, that's great. We have to end it there. Dr. Mark Griffiths, thank you very much indeed. Professor of Gambling Studies at Nottingham Trent University.
The BBC in beds, hearts and bucks. This is BBC Three Counties Radio.
So this footballer, you may have seen it on the news last night, on the match. The footballer, Eden Hazard, come on, he's over here now, we're going to call him that. They got sent off in a game last night because he kicked a ball boy. He was just... the ball boy was being an idiot. This guy, this footballer, wanted to earn his money and wanted to play for his team, wanted to continue the entertainment of millions. This ball boy was a troublemaker. Matt's in Luton. Morning, Matt.
Iain, you're the troublemaker.
Why is that?
You haven't got a clue about football.
Go on, tell me what I've got wrong.
The idea of a ball boy.
Yeah.
When the ball goes off the park, the player should not go near the ball boy. For a start, it should not be done. And he didn't kick the ball; he kicked him in the ribs. Did you watch the game?
I've seen the clip this morning several times.
Well, I've seen it umpteen times.
Okay. Right.
It's a disgrace. It's exactly the same. Supposing that ball boy was your son and you were in the stand, what would you have done, Iain?
I would have taken my son home.
No,
Matt.
I would have kicked.
No, I wouldn't have kicked the footballer. I would have taken my son home. You've asked me a question, Matt. I'll answer it. Matt, you've asked me a question. Do you want me to answer it?
Yeah.
OK. You asked what I'd do if that boy was my son. I'd have taken him home. I'd have given him a right royal rollicking for tweeting he was going to waste time during that match, for diving on the ball and wasting time in that match, and I would have forbidden him for ever being a ball boy ever again. That's what I would have done.
Sorry, he kicked him in the ribs.
Matt, thank you very much indeed. 08459 455 555. The guy tweeted that he was going to waste time during the match. Did you see this, David Prever?
I don't. What game was this? Was this tennis?
Football. It was a football game.
Somebody kicked a tennis player when they were on the ground?
No, listen, what you've done is you've confused issues even more than they need to be confused. 08459 455 555. Come on, Matt in Luton there was talking a load of old guff. This boy was a troublemaker and deserved it. Look at us, geeky old men.
Talking about trains here.
We are actually getting excited about trains.
No, I love a train, me.
I'm not a massive fan, but my boy is 3. He loves Thomas. Of
course they do.
So you're kind of, and he's got a train track, and you kind of get into a little bit. No, don't put the train track there. Do it like this.
Exactly.
This is more imaginative, and so you get sucked in as a dad.
You got it wrong on this footballer, by the way.
Sorry?
You got it wrong on the footballer.
Well, I don't think so.
6, you can't just kick boys when they're on the ground, whatever they're doing. It's for the umpires to sort out, is it? What are they, umpires, referees?
For goodness
whatever
sakes.
they are.
He didn't kick the boy. He
kicked the boy.
He was trying to get the ball back. The boy was a troublemaker.
By kicking a boy in the stomach. Young lad, a young poor boy who's trying to earn money.
His dad's a millionaire. He's only 5 years younger than the footballer, so come on.
So that's okay.
I'm 5 years younger than you. You could kick me if you wanted.
If I kicked you, you wouldn't be happy?
Well, no. I wouldn't be lying on your balls.
Yes, there we are. Today on the big phone in after 9 a.m, does it have to be so expensive to have children? Have you seen these figures today?
No, I've not, but yes, it is expensive.
£222,500 by the age they reach 21 per child.
Yeah, no thank you.
Yeah, you need a big TV gig right now.
Wowzers.
Apparently it's all to do with bills and childcare, sending kids to nursery, the gadgets they require, peer group pressure. I don't know if it has to be this way. Can you cut corners, bring up children on the cheap, and what financial sacrifices have you made to pay for your children's upbringing? I'd like to hear from your stories after 9 a.m. on 08459 455 555. Does it have to be so expensive to have children?
You've really depressed me.
It's so depressing, don't.
What future have we got?
We don't have any future. That's why I'm doing 19 shows a day on anywhere that will have me, frankly.
Anywhere that will have me FM, yes, we've all been there. David Lovely, thank you very much. David Prever filling in for Jonathan Vernon-Smith. If you want to get in touch, 08459 455 555. You can send an email as well, jvsshow@bbc.co.uk. And just put in your contact details and your phone number and bits and pieces, and they might get back in touch with you.
On FM, AM and online. BBC Three Counties Radio.
BBC Three Counties Radio, the first for news. 3 months ago, lollipop ladies in Hertfordshire told this programme they were being verbally abused and harassed by drivers. Some motorists were even failing to stop. So the County Council started a campaign to raise awareness of the important role school crossing patrols play in keeping children safe. Well, our safety correspondent, Justin Dealey, is at the Orchard Primary School in Watford. Good morning, Justin. Whereabouts are you exactly and what's happening?
Yes, hello, Ian. Very cold again this morning. Still lots of snow here in Watford. I'm with Bernie Newland. Bernie has been a lollipop lady here at this school for 21 years. Now, 3 months ago, we were here talking to Bernie about this campaign that hopefully would improve things for her. Bernie, welcome back to the programme. For those that missed our interview 3 months ago, just describe the sort of abuse that you receive here.
Well, it ranges from revving cars, as you've said before, to people just going straight through when I'm either in the middle of the road or trying to cross the children, to sometimes verbal and not physical, not me, but they do finger gestures, etc., coming out of the car if they think we're holding them up too long.
It's just hard to believe. I mean, for those that haven't seen our radio car before, it's quite a presence. It's a normal car with a 30-foot aerial that comes out of the roof. Everyone was looking the day that we were here. The day we were here 3 months ago, you had no problems because of this BBC radio car.
Exactly, yeah. They were all really good out there. They slowed right down. They looked, they stopped, they smiled, they waved. Give it a couple of weeks after and things had seemed to have slowed down and they went back to their normal ways of ignoring. If they don't have to have eye contact, as far as they're concerned, they don't have to stop.
So what you're saying is this campaign to improve the abuse, it did for about 2 weeks. It worked and then it's failed again.
Yeah, it's gone back to normal. The majority of drivers that come down here know me, have done for years. They were probably children going to school. Now they're taking their own. So they've known me for a long time and they're very wary of me being there, aware of me being there. And, they're good, but it's the odd one or two that don't come down here, don't realise there's a crossing patrol. And they're the ones that are a little bit silly out there.
What would you say to anybody who's listening to this, who thinks it is acceptable to verbally abuse you and not stop for you, and not just yourself, but other crossing patrols across Beds, Herts and Bucks who clearly have no respect for you? What's your message to them?
Well, think if it was you. Think if it was you trying to cross your child to get them to school safely. There was somebody there trying to help them, doing their job. and you were just running through. Would you like it if somebody else just went through and refused to stop? You wouldn't be very happy, so please, just give us a little bit of courtesy, respect, and we are trying to do a very difficult job out there, and I know there are some patrols out there that have got it far more difficult than I have, because all patrols, all sites are different. None of us are exactly the same, so what I consider is easy for me would be very difficult for somebody else, so please, just a little bit of courtesy.
Okay, and just lastly, we know that you don't get paid a lot of money to do this job, and you are being abused week by week, year by year. Been doing this now for 21 years. Why would you want to do this job, Bernie?
Because I'm mad. Because I love the children. It was something I started doing just as a favour to the old head at school. And as far as I know, he's still actively looking for somebody to take over, which obviously hasn't come forward. But I enjoy doing it. I love doing it. I love seeing the children across the road. And, you know, the odd finger or shout out of the car, you know, it's par for the course. You, like a duck in water, you just let it ride off, unless, of course, it becomes too bad, and then you have to do something. Okay. And just a message that they will be prosecuted if it continues and if it carries on in that vein.
Can I just interrupt, Justin?
Of course you can.
I think it's disgusting, like someone like Bernie, who's doing a great job for the kids. We all love the lollipop lady, but Bernie shouldn't have to get shouted at. Bernie shouldn't have to take the odd finger. It seems horrible that she's putting up with that.
Well, do you know what, Ian? You know, I mentioned this before. In the 1990s, my mother was a lollipop lady, and this is nothing new to me, so I can talk from experience here. People never stopped for my mum. They used to swear at my mum again. They used to stick up gestures, fingers. It was absolutely horrible, and when that's your own mother as well, it really makes you upset. So this problem has always been around, and as Bernie says there, she doesn't get paid a lot of money for this. She's doing this because she loves the kids here. She wants to help them. She wants to feel part of that community. She doesn't deserve that abuse, and these campaigns, as Bernie says, they do work, but for about 2 weeks, and then things go back to normal.
Do me a favour, Justin. Give her a hug.
I'm going to give her a big hug right now.
Give her a hug.
Come here, Bernie. I'll tell you what, Ian, she looks very, very sexy in that outfit. You looking good, Bernie?
Thank you very much.
Keep up the good work, Bernie, and you too, Justin. Thank you very much for that. Well, joining me now is Councillor Phil Bibby, Deputy Cabinet Member for Highways and Transport at the County Council. Phil, how do you think this campaign went?
Oh, we think it went pretty well. I mean, the idea of the campaign is to make drivers aware that it is an offence to fail to stop at a school crossing, which could end up with a £1,000 fine with 3 points on the licence. I mean, in the last year before last year's campaign in Hertfordshire, 5 drivers were successfully prosecuted. There's also the problem, of course, of harassing and abuse, both verbal and physical, as Bernie reported. I mean, the results of this campaign were pretty positive, and more positive in previous years, actually. Firstly, our lollipop ladies and gentlemen feel more valued as a result of the campaign, and that does make a difference. Our 2012 campaign reached even more of the public as a result of an advert run on the radio in conjunction with a digital campaign for the first time, on top of the patrols wearing special tabards.
Bernie says it's still happening, though, Phil. She's still having to take the old finger and getting sworn at.
Yes, we understand that, and that's why we have this campaign every year.
So it's okay for a month, and then, but the other, where it stops for a month, but then for the rest of the 11 months of the year, they have to put up with it.
Yeah, that's why we're trying to increase the profile of this campaign, and if incidents are reported to us, we do actually prosecute drivers, and that's the only way we can actually stop this.
How many prosecutions have you made in the last, 3 months?
In the 3 months, I don't know, but in the 12 months prior to the campaign, it was 5 in Hertfordshire.
Right. So that was prior to the campaign. Yeah. Have you got any figures for during the campaign, or...?
No, I have not, no.
OK. Would you be able to get those for us?
I could do, yeah.
OK, that'll be interesting, because... Are you going to wait now till next year, or till the next campaign in October, or...? I just do genuinely think it's terrible, Phil, that someone like Bernie doesn't get paid much money. She does it because she loves the kids, wants to help the community. She shouldn't be getting abuse.
You're quite right. And that's why... If Bernie and her colleagues actually reported incidents to us, we do actually follow them up.
So if she got the number plate of a car that had been vulgar to her, you would prosecute?
Absolutely, we will.
OK, brilliant. Phil, thank you very much indeed. 08459 455 555. Eating at work. Apparently it's disgusting. You shouldn't be eating at work. It's disgusting. I work a 39-hour week. It's very rare I get an hour's break each day. Even then, I eat on the go. I work in a warehouse, says Anonymous. Put your names on, otherwise I'm not going to read the ones without names from now on. I have just decided, OK? If you're sending a text, put your name on, otherwise I'll read these ones, but then that's it. If you don't put your name on, it won't get read out on the radio. I eat at my desk about 4 times a week due to being so busy. However, each morning I clean any workstation I use with my antibacterial wipes. That includes keyboard, mouse, work surface, with the mouse mat, telephone, monitor, and then wash my hands with anti-wipe solution. Jackie in Chesham says, when I worked for a bank a good few years ago, we used to have a lady come in once a week and clean all our computer screens and keyboards with wipes and brushes. You don't get that anymore. We used to have a lady, when I worked at another radio station, who would come in every week and water the plants and clean the plants. Yeah, when they got in financial trouble, she got the sack pretty sharpish. I've just turned and tapped my keyboard 3 times onto my desk, dropped a staple, crumbs and curly hair. There's always curly hair in keyboards! I'm a teacher and spend my lunchtime marking books and don't want to mess up my desk, so I eat my sandwich at a child's. Oh, no. Listen, from now on, if you don't put your name on your text, I'm not going to read them out. Simple as. Very quickly, on this ball boy. Iain, I agree with you being on the side of the footballer. I don't even like football. The kid was being an idiot, and after seeing the look on his face, he's lucky he only got kicked in the side, apparently, and not in the face. Thanks, Lauren in Hearts. Liz says, Iain, football, I agree with you, the ball boy was out of order, but what made me laugh was the football style rolling on the floor after he had given up the ball. And Nick in Swanbourne says, Hazard had eyes only for the ball, not the ball boy. Time wasting is a dirty tactic in football, but unfortunately, all teams do it. Well, it wasn't even a team that was doing it in this instance, Nick. It was the ball boy. Have things really got as bad as that?
On FM, AM and online. BBC Three Counties Radio.
Morning, dear listener. This is Iain Lee, BBC Three Counties Radio. 08459 455 555. Am I the only person that's got sympathy for that, for the footballer, not the ball boy? A couple of you have texted in and have agreed with me. He was just trying to do his job, and that 17-year-old millionaire's son was wasting time. He was setting a bad example. The footballer just wanted to carry on playing football. That's all. 08459 455 555. Now, a charity which supports people living with HIV in Hertfordshire faces closure within 2 months after having its funding cut. The Crescent in St Albans was receiving £200,000 a year from Hertfordshire County Council and Hertfordshire NHS Trust. But people are now being asked to travel to Watford and use the services of another support service, HeartsAid. For the last 2 years, the Crescent has been surviving on volunteers using their own money. One of those is Iain Murter, who I met earlier. He's donated over £10,000 of his own cash.
I was left a small amount of money by my paternal grandmother, who I'd been discussing this whole situation with for some time earlier in the last couple of years, which has helped me with that.
You sold your car as well, you
I sold my car at Christmas, yes, to see me through a little bit longer.
So you're dedicated to this. But how much longer can you go on surviving on donations and you know, from your own pocket?
Unless we have something significant in. I mean, we've got a lot of people promising things, and some people have been incredibly generous and continue to be. But unless something radically changes, then we've probably got a couple of months.
Really? Well, that was earlier on in the show. Rachel Dilley is one of the people who uses the Crescent. She joins me now. Morning, Rachel.
Good morning.
Now, I've got a frog in my throat. Let me. Let's clear this out. There we go. We're sorted. Now, you've got HIV. When did you find out that you had the HIV virus?
2005.
And what was that like to find that out? What happened? Were you in the hospital and the doctor said, I've got some bad news for you? Or,
I
how
was
did it
very
work?
poorly at the time.
Right.
Yeah, well, too many symptoms to describe, really, but eventually ended up at the GU clinic. They tested me and told me that I was positive, and it was a great shock to the system. Not long after, went to the Crescent, where I've got my support from.
Just going back to when you got told that you had the HIV virus, what was going through your head when they said that?
I'm going to die.
Yeah.
Straight away, that was it. I'm going to die. I said to them, how long have I got? As if you've been told you've got cancer. How long have I got?
Yeah.
And they were quite reassuring, you know, it's okay, you'll be fine, you know.
How did you get in touch with the Crescent? What made you go there?
Someone gave me, I can't remember, it was a long time ago, but someone gave me some leaflets and the Crescent was on there, and I went along and spoke to someone straight away, and I just felt at ease straight away. She just made me feel, you know, it's not that bad, you know, and you can live with it.
Was the Crescent the first kind of support group or place that you went to discuss this?
Yeah.
So that must have been weird, going there for the first time. Can you describe what that was like?
It wasn't really weird, because I just felt, I spoke to someone on the phone, so it just felt as if I was going to visit someone that I knew. And I went and had a long chat with the woman there, and just felt at ease straight away, and started going for massage, acupuncture.
Oh, hello, hang on.
And then I had to get on medication, which terrified me.
Yeah.
And it was really through talking to people there that gave me the strength and the courage to actually start my medication. Otherwise, I may not be here now.
So they've supported you in loads of ways. They've given you the encouragement to take your medicine. Bit of massage and acupuncture. Doesn't sound bad, does it?
Well, you know, you get a lot of problems with... not everybody's healthy when they're living with HIV. You can get side effects from the medication. Your feet go numb, your legs can go numb.
Wow.
You know, tingling in your hands and feet and stuff. And the massage does help.
Right.
Even like stress, you know, if you get too stressed, it makes you feel unwell. And that has an effect on your immune system.
It's looking like the Crescent is going to have to close in a couple of months. They're running out of money. How will that affect your life?
It's not just my life, it's other people as well. You know, I'm not as bad off as some people. You know, some people, it's the only place they can go, that there is nowhere else, you know, and they have nobody else. My family know about me, my friends know about me, but some people cannot talk to anybody else. And we're not just a social gathering, you know, there's testing there, there's going to outreach, you know, there's so much. It's not just a social get-together place. It's such a big, great big, vast... you know, expansion of things, not just one thing.
You've said there's nowhere else to go, but of course there is HeartsAid, isn't there? Have you tried the HeartsAid service?
Has anyone tried to get there?
Is that one of the problems?
The thing is, I mean, for me personally, I have panic attacks and anxiety, and someone said it's out in the middle of where? I don't know where that is. You've got a phone to make an appointment. If you can get an appointment, you share the building with drugs and alcohol, you know. I don't particularly want to go somewhere where there's people that could be on drugs or drinking. I'm not being nasty, but I want to go somewhere where I feel safe and comfortable, which I do at the Crescent. And I don't see why we should have to lose it, because the money we had has all been given to HeartsAid. Why can't we have the money back that we had before? They do such a great job. You know, I can't express enough that, not just for me, but for other people, you know, disabled people, old people, carers. The stuff they do is... You couldn't even explain it in a day.
What do you want to see done?
Well, ideally, we would like the council to give back the money that they were giving us before. If not, anyone that can donate anything at all, no matter how small, you know, it might not affect their life now, but at some point, someone's life could be affected by it, and they may need the Crescent.
And how are you feeling today? How are things today for you with your medication and everything that's going on?
I'm feeling well, but obviously I'm worried, and I've seen it on other people as well. In fact, I had a get-together at mine on Tuesday, and I could see that since Christmas when I met the people, some of them they just don't look as well as they did. And it's stress, it's the worry.
Well, listen, you were telling me you got up very, very early to come in this morning, and you've not had your toast yet.
That's right.
You've earned your slice of toast, Rachel. Thank you very much for coming in. See, that was a piece of cake, wasn't it? It was easy peasy. Rachel Dilly, thank you very much indeed. We contacted Herts County Council. They declined to take part, but said a decision was taken by the County Council that the best way to provide a more uniform and more cost-effective service was to move toward a single county-wide provider for that service.
On FM, AM and online. BBC Three Counties Radio.
08459 455 555. Look, Eden Hazard kicks a ball boy during a match. I say there was outrage on Twitter and everywhere. Outrage. I say, shame on the lad. The lad's a 17-year-old troublemaker. He tweeted he was going to cause trouble during this match. If you watch the clip, right, and watch it properly, he's not kicking the boy deliberately. He's trying to get to the ball. If you wanted to kick the boy deliberately, the legs are exposed, the header is exposed. He's not kicking him deliberately. He's trying to get the ball. Roger, am I speaking sense or what?
Yeah, absolutely. Totally agree with you.
Goodness for that.
I've watched the clip a few times, and I've seen that what I think Hazard's done is he can actually see the ball, and he's just trying to poke it through to get the game back on again.
Yes.
And totally agree. I mean, there's a lot of this goes on, and people not even... I mean, the players can time waste at times, which is frustrating, but when ball boys or mascots and all this things start to time waste is frustrating. People have paid good money to go and watch a game of football when they don't want to see that.
He's doing that thing that I remember at school when the idiot, sometimes it was me, would lie on the ball, and in fact I remember actually being a spin-off game that you would play where someone would lie on the ball and you would try and kick it out from underneath them. That's all he's doing, isn't it?
Yeah, he's not going to, he doesn't want to injure a ball boy, does he? He just wants to get the ball back, absolutely.
What do the mascots, I don't know a lot about football, Roger, you may have picked up, what do the mascots do to cause trouble?
The mascots do the same sort of thing at times. It depends on what grounds you go to, but some of them will get the ball and waste time, or they'll try and wind the fans up or whatever. And I just think, you go to football, you pay a lot of money to watch a match, and it's not, you appreciate other teams and other good players, but not those ones that frustrate you and wind you up and time waste.
Roger, thank you very much indeed. You see? If you think about it, if you've seen the clip and if you've seen it properly, I know you hear it. Footballer kicks ball boy. Multi-millionaire footballer kicks poor ball boy. Okay, when you put it into context, actually, his dad's a millionaire as well. Okay. And there's only 5 years difference in the age. Suddenly it's not like a grown 30-year-old man hitting a 12-year-old. And if you watch the clip, he's not kicking the ball boy deliberately. He's trying to get the ball. And this Charlie Morgan is being a plum. He's lying on the ball and deliberately preventing the game from continuing. Now, I don't really have very much interest in football at all, but I do feel sorry for this footballer. All he was trying to do, he earns £170,000 a week, okay? He's just trying to justify that money. He's just trying to win the game. He's trying to succeed. We should be looking up to this footballer. We should be pointing him out to our kids and going, that's what you should be aiming for. You want to carry on, even if things are against you. You want to justify your place. You want to play as hard as you can. He shouldn't have been sent off. I hope this Charlie Morgan lad is banned from ever going to a football stadium ever again. He doesn't deserve it. 08459 455 555 is the telephone number. You know it makes sense. Babs in Stevenage says, the ball boy has achieved his aim. 15 minutes of fame, job done. Elizabeth says, have you watched the slow-motion replay of the ball boy being kicked? It is so obviously a deliberate kick in his side. I hope the boy sues him. It is clearly straightforward assault. Yes, Elizabeth, I have seen it. And you're wrong. Watch it again. Watch it again from as many different angles as you can, because no, it's not assault. He's trying to get the ball so he continue the football match. That's it. That's all he's doing. Nothing wrong at all. Everyone jumps to conclusions about this. 08459 455 555. Let's have a quick look at the front pages, shall we? If I can get my newspapers off of the record player, which has just started to spin around. Thanks very much, old technology. Jeez, where were you when I needed you? The Daily Telegraph. Merkel hints at deal for Cameron. Angela Merkel. It's Angela, come on. Has said she is prepared to consider renegotiating Britain's membership of the EU. Yeah. A little bit bored already of this. I know it's important. We've got another 4 years of this to talk about. So we've got, hang on. So let me get this right. We've got the Scottish referendum and we've got this. Man, the next few years are going to be D-U-double-L dull, aren't they? Wow. Boring campaigns. Harry flies in trying to calm controversy. Prince Harry did his best to dampen down the controversy over his remarks about killing Taliban as he returned to Britain yesterday, saying only that he had done things you would expect a soldier to do. He shouldn't have said he killed people. Of course he shouldn't have said that. Listen, we all know that's what soldiers do. Of course, right? But if you ask a soldier, have you killed people? A good one will go, I don't want to talk about that. I don't think it's appropriate to discuss that. A good one. The kind of laddish ones go, yeah, I shot a few of them. Yes, taking a few down. A good soldier, no, I don't think it's appropriate to discuss that. I've just done what's necessary. That's the correct answer to that question, isn't it? The Guardian. Let's talk, says Merkel, as Cameron gambles on EU. And there's a picture of that lad who got kicked by the football player. Really? Grow up. We'll look at some more of those in a bit. Talking about this football incident last night, Chelsea player Eden Hazard has apologised for kicking ball boy Charlie Morgan during their cup tie against Swansea. Chelsea needed to score twice when the ball went out of play. The 17-year-old ball boy went to retrieve it. Did he fall on it or did he jump on it? Well, he'd already said on Twitter that he was going to time waste. So he smothered the ball with his body, holding up the game. Hazard was then trying to get at the ball underneath, and he kicks the ball, and may have kicked the boy. Joining me now is former Watford player and current summariser. Wow, I didn't even know that was a thing here at Three Counties. Derek Payne. Morning, Derek.
Morning, Ian.
What do you make of this incident?
Well, it's unbelievable to start with. Doesn't happen often, does it? And it was a very bizarre incident. I mean, the lad should have really, if he's been on tweeting that he's going to time waste, and obviously there was a motive to do what he done. So it's weren't good by him. But then again, Eden Hazard shouldn't have really got involved.
But Hazard, listen, I'm not a particularly big football fan, but I remember this kind of thing happening at school when there was some idiot that would jump on the ball and give us the ball back, no! And he'd be lying on it, and you just try and punt it out, wouldn't you? Just try and get it out. That's all that Hazard's doing, isn't it? He's just trying, he's not deliberately kicking the boy.
No, you could see that there was no intent on trying to hurt the boy, sorry. He was just trying to get the ball back, but he really shouldn't have got involved. That's where the referee, who's meant to be watching the game continuously, even when the ball's off play, should have got involved. And but Eden Hazard shouldn't have got involved. He's a young lad. You know, he's time wasting, but it's not in your hands to take responsibility to go and get the ball.
As a former player, Derek, how annoying is it? Time wasting in a football game when you just want to get on and score some goals and the other team or the ball boy is being an idiot.
Yeah, but it's part and parcel of the game. You know, you'll be in games. You'll be one. Yeah, it's part and parcel of the game. Goalkeepers do it all the time. You'll be 1-0 up, and the goalkeeper will take a long time to go and get it. Players go down feigning injuries. So it is part and parcel of the game. And as a professional footballer, you've got to get used to that side of the game. Like you've got to get used to everything in the game. What
will happen to Hazard now? Will he get told off? Will he get punished?
Yeah, I'm sure the powers to be at Chelsea and make it clear to him that, you know, that's not the behaviour they expect. Obviously, they understand why he was doing it, because you want to get to Wembley, but, you know, that's just going over the line. He stepped over the line. You can't, you know, he's a young lad. You can't get involved and try and get a ball for a young lad.
And this troublemaker, Charlie Morgan, I'm guessing that's his ball boy career over now, is it?
No, well, I don't know. They're going to be a little bit biased towards him. You know, he wants Swansea to go to Wembley. He's a young lad. I don't know if it will be. They might, you know, they obviously talk to him and obviously let him know that...
Hang on a minute. Hang on a minute, Derek. Charlie Morgan is a Swansea supporter?
Well, I would imagine he is.
Off with his head! Off with his head, Derek! Get rid of him! Little so-and-so.
Well, hopefully, he'll be hoping you ain't in charge of that decision.
Well, we'll see. Derek, listen, lovely to talk to you. Thank you very much. Derek Payne there. Justin Dealey's on the line. Justin?
Yes,
you're a big football fan.
I am indeed.
What's your take on this?
Well, I haven't seen it. That's the first thing.
Okay.
I think once I've seen it, I'll have my own view. But ball boys, traditionally over the years, if they are from that club and their team is trying to hang on, if you like, they would certainly keep hold of that ball for as long as they possibly could.
Really?
Yes, absolutely. Absolutely. Cheating goes on in football, you know.
I know it does, but I expect it from the players. But this lad, he lies on the ball. The ball is under his tummy. You know, like the idiot kid at school would do it when you wouldn't let him play football, so he'd snatch the ball and lie on it. This is what he's done. That's unacceptable, isn't it?
Regardless of what he's done, you can't go around kicking young children, can you?
He's 17. He's a man. He could go to Afghanistan and kill the Taliban.
He's not a man until he's 18. Another year to go for him.
All right. Well, listen, Justin, we've not got you on to talk about this. We're here to talk about a maths problem that we've got. A square... Oh, here we go. Let's see if we can do this. A square has an area of 64 square metres. What is the length of each side? Is it 4 metres, 8 metres, 12 metres, or 16 metres? Let me work this out.
Yeah, go on.
It would be 8 metres.
All right, okay.
Am I right?
I think so, I suppose so.
Well, it's reported that just 1 in 20 parents... I think it is 8 metres. Reported that just 1 in 20 parents is able to solve problems intended... And I wasn't even using my calculator watch then.
No, you weren't, no.
I wasn't!
No, I believe you.
Shut up, egg sandwich. Yeah. Now, 1 in 20 parents is able to solve problems intended for children aged between 8 and 12, and nearly 2/3 of parents are reluctant to help with maths homework for fear of confusing their children. Oh, there we go. Look, the answer's here. The square is 8 metres long because 8 times 8 is 64.
You are good. You are good.
So where are you, Justin, and what have you been doing?
I'm live this morning in Watford. I'm at the Orchard Primary School. We've got some audio to come from parents in just a second, but we are putting people to the test. Joining me live here in our radio car is Paul Sutton. He's the head teacher and a parent of 2 young children. Paul is always up up for a laugh. Paul, are you ready for your random maths question?
Yes.
OK, here we go then. A house is sold for £400,000. The estate agent is paid 3% of the £400,000. Oh, don't you laugh at me. How much does the estate agent receive?
I've got it.
Ian's got it.
I've got
in the
it.
Studio. That calculator's working.
No, it's my head!
Come on, Paul, you're the head teacher.
Come on, Paul.
Come on, Paul.
Is this the head teacher?
It's the head teacher. Come on, okay, here we go. Okay, let's do it again. A house is sold for £400,000. The estate agent is paid at 3% of the £400,000. How much does the estate agent receive? I'll give you some options, okay? £12,000, £24,000, £36,000 or £48,000. Come on, Paul.
It would be...
Oh, for goodness sake. It's broken Britain.
1,200.
Yeah, it would
No,
be...
no, it's not 1,200.
No, yeah, you're right. It would be 12,000.
12,000, yeah.
Yes, you said 1,200.
Oh, sorry, 12,000.
Oh, for goodness
sake. We got there. You got it at the end. Do you feel good now?
I do, yes.
Yeah. Thank you, Paul.
That's all right.
I can see why we're in such an economical crisis. He's a head teacher, Justin!
Paul Sutton, the head teacher of the Orchard Primary.
You did put him on the spot. You did put him on the spot. Well done him for having a go.
So, there you go. There you heard from Paul. I've also been speaking to parents and testing them, and this is what happens.
Let's have a listen.
Now, Julie, you have requested something easy, is that correct?
Yeah.
Here we go, then. What's 250 times 8? What's 250 times 8? I'll even give you options. 1,500, 2,000, 2,500 or 3,000.
2,000.
Congratulations. You feel relieved now, don't you?
Yeah, I do.
What were you like at school with your maths? Were you any good?
Rubbish.
Where's John? John, before your question, what were you like at maths when you was at school?
Not great.
Yeah? Not good at all?
Not at all.
Right, well, I'm hoping for the best on this question for you. It's quite a long one. In Moscow, the temperature at midday is 8 degrees Celsius.
Right.
At midnight, it's -3. By how much has that temperature changed?
11 degrees.
Yes! We got there! How does that feel?
Fine, thank you.
You passed. Right, well, here's Lisa. Lisa, here is your question. You ready for this?
Just about.
Now, if you can't answer it, your son's here to back you up.
Excellent, I might need that.
8 years old. What is the mean value of these numbers? 26, 10, 24. What is the mean value of these numbers? 26, 10, 24. If only this was TV, we could see your face.
Oh, yeah. 2?
No. Who's this? Your son here? What's his name?
Cameron.
Cameron, how are you, Cameron?
I'm fine.
Do you know the answer?
I don't even know what mean value means.
I'm going to give you the answer. You've learned something new today. The answer is 15.
Is it?
It is, yeah.
So what does mean value mean?
We'll talk about that later on.
Oh, Daily! What does mean value mean?
Apparently it's the average.
Yes, it is the average. Well
I think
done.
I got a D in my GCSE at maths because I was more interested in other things. Maths has never been my strong point, as you've noticed this morning.
What exactly is your strong point, Justin? I've yet to work to fathom that one out.
We'll come to that in the future.
It's very interesting that and a novelty that it's you that's going around educating the mums and dads of beds, hearts and bucks.
This doesn't feel right. It feels wrong.
I hate maths. I think that once you've got the basic maths, adding up and subtracting and dividing and stuff like that you shouldn't have to study maths.
Absolutely. I mean, if you're going to go into your local supermarket, you're hardly going to be going, oh, I'll get those peas, I'll get that macaroni cheese. Oh, what's the mean value of what I'm buying here? It doesn't work like that.
And how often do you use maths in your career? If you know you're going to do a career that doesn't involve maths, why are you studying it?
Yeah, I mean, some people take it very seriously. I mean, if you're going to be an accountant, clearly you need those skills. But if you're going to do other jobs, you don't need maths as much as some, clearly.
Justin Dealey, come home.
I will.
And I'll give you a big hug.
Oh, I can't wait.
There it is. Full of hugs today. Thank you very much, Justin Dealey. Excellent stuff as always. Phew. We made it to the end. Looks like we made it, to quote Barry Manilow. There we go. I'm crushing to an end. That's it. That's your lot. Back tomorrow at 6 o'clock, God willing, of course. Do stick around. Jonathan is off all week. He's not very well, so send him our best. But coming up next, the excellent David Prevost. Till tomorrow. Ta-ta.
Getting beds, hearts and bucks talking.
This is BBC Three Counties Radio.
Thank you very much, Ian and the team. Lovely show this morning.